someone
Ooh.
check us.
Oh, let me just. I'm gonna
Check
switch over
us.
my
Are we
headphones.
on?
Give me 1 second.
I'm in the chat.
What?
We're not on yet.
Dinner's in the chat.
We are on the chat.
Let's check the music. Everyone hear that?
Music makes the people together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love.
Not even
I
in
love
roll 20 yet.
Mike's camera angle is just like what, but essentially a cam girl. It's like the cam girl down on the bed.
This is my bed.
Don't mind my bed behind me. Right. Are we on? Are we live on the internet?
Here we are.
I need to launch the game.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that Zook and Dylan are in, but there is no.
I need
All
to
of
check
us in
that I
now.
can hear that sweet, sweet
There's
music.
no Dutch in there yet.
What, in roll 20?
Yeah.
I never open roll 20.
The music.
Dude, it's where all the music and all the atmosphere comes
That's
from.
where all the action happens. Okay, hello.
Action.
Boil up a pot. Take a seat by the hearth and enjoy a fine, fine beverage. With the gentleman quizzes. No.
Oh, I just switched over my headphones and that was very painful.
Is the music on? I
have a
can't hear
theory.
it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Nice.
Are we allowed to consume beverages of the naughty variety on stream? I don't know
Why
if we
not?
can.
I'm
That's
drinking
apple juice,
lemonade.
though. That's
mean
cloudy
urine?
apple juice.
Yeah.
Cloudy apple juice. Just so everyone knows. So, previously on the Journeyman Questers, the Gypsies of Fortune, our brave, intrepid heroes, set forth east to the Empire of the Moon, towards Ruthus's hometown, his home province, the Glinting province, for a summons by his nephew, Christoph Suncrest. Let's put on some wild music. You travelled to Elwyn Tor, Heath Elwyn's overgrown and run-down mansion, where you battled with some of Christoph's men, hoping to take you captive or take you to Soulreach, the capital of the Glinting province and seat of Christoph, Ruthus's nephew. You then travelled to Soulreach itself and found the city to be a smog-covered, dank city of industry and bustling business. Many wealthy merchants' pockets full from the hard labour of many women, children, and men. You noticed that throughout the city, there were many beggars, many of which had lost limbs or fingers or eyes, had various accidents within the grand loom that stood tall above the rest of the city. Its dye works and linen factories extending out across this vast sort of area, creating a kind of workshop-like slum. You broke your way stealthily into the Sunkeep for a banquet with Christoph. You all kind of entering in various different ways and finding outside in the courtyard the Sunstone was indeed there, seemingly untouched. Feeling cautious, you snuck invisible as a crow or a bird, disguised as various guards or merchants. And Ruthus touched the Sunstone. Immediately, being forced into a fight with a moon dragon, a strange insectoid ruin demon, and a very powerful mage of Christoph. You vanquished the dragon and cornered the Christoph that you assumed was real, only to find out that it was indeed the illusion or some kind of trial within the mind of Ruthus. Many words and guidance was given to Ruthus, things and words to follow, various kind of doctrines of how to be a leader. He was to seek truth and then serve justice. He was to listen to his allies and surround himself with them. He was to never abandon the people, always listen to counsel, always be merciful, not become a tyrant, use power but use it wisely, listen to his enemies to better understand them. There was so many various things that he must do as a leader, an overwhelming amount. And the Sunstone disappeared to you and your knowledge. However, it still stands thanks to Zook's illusion, which is going to last how long?
10 days.
10 days. A physical illusion to any that want to touch and would feel it in their own mind's eye. You entered the Sunkeep and met with Christoph in the royal banquet. Christoph was accommodating, albeit still some kind of naive child lord to an extent. Ruthus was extremely cautious, and you all hid amongst the guests within the hall. You met both Malvo and Celeste. Malvo being Celeste's father, Malvo Blackfriar, and Celeste being the wife to Christoph, the Asimar, the divine, pregnant with child. This child supposedly rumors among the people and the priests of a new coming of some kind of prophet, divine prophet for the Moon Mother. Ruthus, you chatted to Christoph and Celeste and Malvo in private for some time and learned some truths about that night so long ago when you had been ousted and Christoph's brother, your nephew, had been killed, as well as the key estate burnt and many other atrocities. Celeste persuaded you through kind of negotiation and discussion to give up your name in front of the people, to swear your name away and put the people's minds at ease, to quell any such rebellion that may risk the lives of many people here from the rest of the Empire. You gave her your solemn word and left with maybe a different outlook, or at least definitely it had gone down differently than you had anticipated originally. You all left the Sunkeep and spent the evening at the Lion's Perch, a area to the north of the city, a quite like rich, noble area, walled off by the moat. There you met the rather chatty and talkative innkeeper and went to bed, keeping watch. And upon your watch, Dylan received an onyx raven, the same onyx raven with a letter in its beak that he had lost so long ago from the church, seemingly stolen. And Ruthus was visited in the night by the king himself, or the vision of. The king spoke to Ruthus and granted him the first of the various powers of the king's Aegis Aurora. Richter, hearing the disturbance, broke in, and they touched tips briefly, touching their halberd and shield together, and they were thrust into the strange plane or vision of this blood-soaked sea with scattered dark rocks jutting from it, and atop one of them they could see the king and the rook embracing in a brotherly embrace, and looking down upon both Richter and Ruthus and giving them both knowing nods. Theo, your thing's all the time.
It keeps going. I've only got my phone. I don't have a better camera at the moment.
You then awoke the next day, Ruthus feeling not very well rested, as you had suffered some exhaustion in the process of altering the day due to the Aegis Aurora. You chatted around the table downstairs, and you all decided collectively to put your four stones, these ancient relics, together to see whether maybe the rook and the king could speak to the Jack and the Queen. And yes, indeed, another vision took place within this ocean of blood. Upon a rock, now a tavern forming, and you watched some kind of sibling rivalry and family matters sort of take place, but it felt more like a dream than kind of reality in its own way. And with a day ahead of you in Soulreach, and you know at some point today, you assume a messenger maybe will arrive telling you what time this talk will be, this speech to be held. Ruthus decided outside the Grand Loom and Everblaze Tavern in probably the biggest market square, an easy spot, often where speeches and things take place. And you did some shopping. You travelled to the Dutch and Dylan travelled to the Witch Vault, a strange magical item and tinkerer sort of shop full of various alchemical and magical supplies, although rudimentary for such a kind of non-magical city. This strange character known as Byron Shade offered you some strange magical trinkets. You turned most of them down, but you did walk away with a rather nice snake whip of some kind, the Viper Whip.
Viper Whip?
As well as diamonds and jewel-encrusted bowls. You spent a significant sum upon all of those.
Is the Viper Whip one of James's ones, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Could you send me a picture of the stats for
Yes,
it, please?
I will send you the picture of the thing in a sec.
Yeah, I read so much. I've been reading my class through from like level 1 again.
Sending me constant messages. Can I do this with the whip? Can I do this with the whip?
Whip.
No, I love it. The rest of you remind me. We didn't get through it all. We had Ruthus. You headed into the Sunkeep to go meet with Talura.
Yeah.
Talura
She told me some pretty
but I'm just thinking the others.
pretty woke news.
We didn't do their shopping yet, did we?
No.
Because Zook wanted to go and check some things out, and Richter went with Zook. Oh no, we did. They went to the storehouses. I do remember now. I thought there was something else before that. They went to the storehouses and spoke with the kind of slums, the people that lived within this commune of the storehouses, probably the poorest place within the town of Soulreach. What used to be grand storehouses full of grain and produce, now full of people, an overflow of people living in squalid conditions. But even though these people living rough, they seemed like a pretty tight-knit community. And upon entering, Zook floating with this giant tree in his hand, and Richter looking kind of resplendent as essentially a version of himself, but with kind of the sun crest insignias all over him and kind of a grandness to him. You created a significant amount of food using Zook's natural magics. Lots of vegetables and various things of the forest. Big barrels of kind of river water from the Eocene. Although bland, many things, many people seemingly thankful to eat, but still suspicious of you all. Richter inspired some of them, some words talking about how Ruthus was a great man and such and such. Probably stoking the fires within them, rather than actually putting their minds to ease. If anything, it definitely was rousing in the way that Celeste would not have wanted. And so finally, Ruthus went to the Sunkeep to see Tellura Key. Tellura being the daughter of Waora Key, the older lady you travelled with all those years ago to Ingmiri, and whose Tellura's children are Elgrin and Fleet. Very good friends and I want to say prominent NPCs within the campaign. A character that you had yet to kind of be seen in the campaign so far. A very intelligent and feisty woman who almost gave Ruthus the opposite chat to probably what he had hoped for or what he had wanted. Another spanner in the works, as she talked about how she wished to overthrow the current rulers of Soulreach and spark a rebellion, the opposite of what Celeste seemingly wanted, almost to the extreme that Celeste must be killed, and innocent people would be put in harm's way, but that was the way of things, the way of rebellion, and the way for change to actually happen in this place. The people could go on no longer with these conditions, etc., and be governed by the Empire. And perhaps one day this province, the Glinting province, would go back to its previous rulers of itself, rather than being governed by an outside source like the Empire of the Moon. It seemed that although she was free to roam the palace, she was under strict kind of lock and key as probably a figure of extreme rebellion among the people. Did you left? I've forgotten exactly how it ended. Or because
we had that conversation.
You had the
and
conversation, and you left, and we finished just after.
That was literally it. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add that what happened during that talk that I might have just brushed over?
No, not really. I don't think so. Not really.
Okay, so we'll start today's session then with. I can hear TV in the background somewhere. Everyone's like, not me. It's
I literally am the only person in the house, so
it might be me. It might be
I can
Amy
hear
listening
it.
to something, but she's like on the other side of the flat.
I don't know.
I can hear something, and it's not in my flat.
yeah, I can hear it as well. It's weird.
Very thin. It's minor.
So
Stopped.
we're going to start today's session with Dylan and Dutch heading to the Sunset Archives, where you said you were going to go next. If that is still the plan.
Dutch, I was wondering if perhaps we could detour past that fancy-looking bow shop on our way.
Yeah, of course. It's back there and just round the right, if I remember.
Do you want to come with me?
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been in a big city and no one else around.
I have this sword and I don't seem to use it that often these days. I take out the poison sword. Perhaps I could trade it in for a bow. It might be more useful to me.
Yeah, and I guess you've always got the dagger as well if you really need to get up close and personal.
I actually don't have any daggers.
Your shadow one.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's much more effective than this old thing. So, shall we head over that way?
Yeah.
You head back through town, and on your way back, you pass through the square in which Ruthus is to be speaking later on, and you can see that a stage already exists there, where potentially gallows often are, but the gallows aren't set up. You can see on the stage there are those like trapdoor bits where people would be hung, but they're locked up. And you can see people putting up and essentially building what look to be stands for not the kind of common folk, maybe nobles, to watch from a kind of more prominent vantage point. There's kind of like carpenters building the structure in which it's going to take place on. You continue and head towards the Heartpiercer Bows, a fine establishment sort of right opposite the Elven Embassy. You enter and you're hit by this sort of fragrance immediately of kind of like wood oil and kind of wood smoke. It smells very, very earthy and kind of natural in here. That kind of clean wood polish sort of smell. It's a very open, quite large shop. And to one side, you can see there is indeed a kind of an archery range. There's a few sort of dummies with targets down at the bottom of kind of a long section of the shop. And there are racks of various bows differing from kind of shape and size. An elven man looks at you from over the counter. You can see he's very well dressed in sort of green wood elf, kind of classic wood elf robes. However, he's not a wood elf. You would notice and know this, having met elves before. He's a moon elf, which is classic to the Empire. Hello, my name is Ewan Fletcher. How may I be of service to you today?
Well, me and my companion here, we just happened to be passing, and I was wondering if you had any bows of interest that you might be able to show me. I have a few magical items. I'm a bit short of cash, but I don't know if you're open to doing exchanges or something along those kind of lines.
What sort of bow are you after? I mean, we have plenty here, and perhaps if I get an idea of your price range, I can be more accommodating.
Well, I mean, my current bow serves me well enough. It's very well made. But I was hoping to find something perhaps with a little arcane potence, perhaps.
Your quiver, and he kind of, you can't see his eyes, but you feel the gaze upon you.
Yeah.
It is extraordinary. Could I have a look?
I'm reluctant to show you the quiver itself. It comes with some, how can I say, some burdens, but I'll be happy to show you one of the arrows that it produces. And I'll stride over, and with that I'll summon one of the crystalline arrows. And as I pass it off to him, I'd like to cast friends on him.
Okay.
Nice.
So there's no saving throw, is there?
No, it's just like an
It's
advantage.
just you get advantage, yeah.
Yeah, on the.
He takes it, kind of looking at it for a while. This is magnificent, and it produces these from it.
Yes, it's some sort of magical enchantment that allows it to reproduce as many arrows as I'd need.
That is incredible. Follow me, and he passes you back the arrow.
I'll say, please, you may keep this as a memento if you'd like. It will be a once use, but for what it's worth.
It will last.
I haven't actually tried. Haven't tried. Haven't experimented with how long the arrow lasts for. But if you'd like to have a go at shooting it, please be my guest.
Oh no, Let us do business first, and he puts it down on the counter. And for you, good sir, towards you, Dutch.
I mean, the work in here is lovely, but it's not really my style. But the craftsmanship is amazing. The grain and everything, it's nice.
You do me a good honor, but I did not make all of these. No. I merely am a purveyor of them, a seller, a merchant. But
A good eye, then, at least.
a connoisseur, if you will. Please, I might have some things that aren't for the average customer. And he takes you over to one side of the shop where there's some exquisite sort of cases laid out. You can see within the kind of window the two bows that you previously saw. He points to the one that had the sort of almost. It was like a dark wood with white banding sections on it. This is the Bow of Storms. Placed a simple enchantment upon it. Well, not so simple. The Bow of Storms is incredibly accurate. It has an enchantment based on it which can allow one never to really miss. In fact, I have never seen anyone to use this in the correct way to ever miss. The one beneath it, and you can see the one beneath is much more kind of wood elf kind of make. It's a simple kind of longbow structure, but at the ends and where the actual bowstring is, the bowstring itself is what looks to be thorns, like brambles, kind of coiled up it. And this, aptly named, is the Bow of Thorns. A deadly blade can ensnare your enemies with certain shots. Now, these two are, of course, very exquisite and well made, and have come from far and wide to be here in this shop. So as the price does reflect. But
I assume at this time I'd be unlikely to afford such a wonderful weapon.
Well,
but
how
please.
much is it?
the Bow of Thorns is 1,000 gold pieces, and the Bow of Storms is 1,500.
Yeah, easy. What one do you want?
Well, good orc. I have one more. It does run a steep 5,000 gold pieces, but perhaps if you don't have the money now, perhaps it tickles your fancy, you come back some other time. I haven't managed to sell it yet, as it is above most people's price range, but you two look like wealthy entrepreneurs to me.
You flatter us.
He walks behind the counter and pulls out from a kind of drawer section. It's like long, thin drawers. It's cloth in this like dark linen silk, and he places it down, unraveling it. And you can see
This is like D&D shopping porn, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I fucking
yeah.
love this.
It's
like
not.
watching
Yeah.
an unboxing video on YouTube.
Oh man.
he kind of unfurls it, and you can see within is a crystalline blue bow. This is an extremely rare item. I have only ever tested it a handful of times. It holds extreme power, and I'm afraid it is quite beyond the capabilities of myself. But the people that have wielded this have told me of the things that it could do.
And what are these things? Would I be able to try the bow out myself?
I'm afraid not. It requires a great deal of strength, and not only that, but it has a limited amount of uses to it. I think that
Do we know how many?
its potency was at one point even greater than this. It currently sits at about half or perhaps even a third of its previous.
How many uses does it have left? 5,000 gold is a steep price if it is limited.
I believe it has about 5 uses left, but these uses are extravagant. It has the power of the sea and the water, you see. It can summon great waves.
This weapon, could I use it in conjunction with my quiver here?
I don't see why not. If you can produce an arrow and knock it to this, I'm sure it could combine.
Listen, like I said before, I do not have much gold on me at this time. However, I do possess a few items with magical enchantments of them of their own. Unfortunately, this one here is not for sale, but I have this. I have a sword, a magical ring, and one other. I don't suppose you would be able to buy these off me, but if not, if you could point me in the right direction, somewhere where I would be able to sell these items, that would be much appreciated.
As for the sword and ring, I'm afraid that I am not an exquisite purveyor of those, but I can recommend you to the Molten Star Forge. Is a great place for weapons. Often twinned with my fine establishment. I get certain arrows and things forged, and I fletch them. We work in conjunction. They will be happy to take any arms of swords or daggers, etc., off your person, especially if they are indeed enchanted. As for the ring, have you tried the Witch Vault? Perhaps Baron Shade could take it off your hands. He is a strange character.
We did find ourselves there. I did not initially intend to head this way, but we have a little time here in Soul Reach, so hence we stand in your shop. Perhaps we will head to this forge first, and I'll see what I can get for this blade.
If you're
Dutch.
he begins
Sorry,
putting that bow sort of away? If you are in the market of some more rudimentary but yet very well made items, a masterwork bow will run you about 500 gold. I also have a couple of other intricate items. However, I do see you have a very nice quiver already. I have a very nice quiver, an efficiency quiver. It can store many arrows within it, but yours can create them. So, but I also have these special arrows, if you care to look. He moves over to one side where there's a case, and you can see within it 5 arrows. The case itself is kind of the glass is like a car window glass, when it's sort of shaded from the sun. He unlocks it with a key, and as he opens it, sunlight is shining out from it. Oh, mind your eyes! And he plucks one from it, closing and locking it once more. It gives off, a bit like the sunblade, a kind of radius of quite bright light. These are sun motes, said to be imbued by the radiant gods themselves. Each of these are only a mere 100 gold.
That is certainly a good price. I must say, at this time, I'm very much interested in one of the bows you have in the display window. Perhaps, and if failing that, a masterwork bow would be most useful. The enchanted bows in the display window, they also are worked in the same way as your simple masterwork bow.
They are, yes. All of the bows are masterwork. The bow of tides, that is extra special and more exquisitely made. Perhaps double what a masterwork is, if you will. a +2, one could say.
The bow of tides, is it still usable after these special uses of it have been?
No one is sure, but the actual craftsmanship of the bow itself, I assume, will not falter. But the magical potential upon it has its limitations.
Tashi, scanning the shop. Has there been any? Have I noticed any obvious magical enchantments outside of the items themselves, or is it?
Roll me an investigation check.
Okay.
That's an aggressive roll.
It was. Okay, that will be a 28.
Looking around the shop, yes, there seems to be a fair amount of magic within the shop. The cases themselves, especially the one with the kind of darkened tinge to it, it doesn't seem like glass. It doesn't seem quite even the sounds that it's made as it opens and it kind of clinks. It feels and looks quite fragile, but your keen eye and senses see past that. There is some kind of something more to the glass cabinets. Not only that, but the door itself in which you came through.
Yeah.
As you stepped through and heard the kind of tinkling, you kind of look back to that moment, and there was almost like a slight shift upon entry. You can't put your finger on it, but you assume there's probably a lot of magical related things within the shop.
Okay. Okay, I'll turn to him at this point and I'll say, please, what is your name?
My name is Ewan Fletcher.
Ewan, you have been most hospitable. Thank you for showing me around your fine wares. I will most certainly be returning shortly. but I have a few points of business prior to doing this, and like I said, I must alleviate myself of this weapon, and so I can afford one of these fine bows. And
Very
with that,
well.
I'll nod my hat and begin to make my exit.
Okay.
Intimidator.
I have a question for you, though. Sorry.
Please go ahead.
You say you can enchant things. Can you move enchantments from one thing onto another thing?
I cannot enchant. I am not an enchanter of sorts.
Oh.
But you could speak to the owner of the Molten Star Forge. His name is Strognor Redspire. He is an
Stroganoff.
enchanter. And
Talking of Red Rocket.
a
Was that
fantastic one at
Strognor?
that.
Redspire.
Red Spire. And
If
what's
you-
the forge called?
The Molten Star Forge.
Yeah.
I am unsure of the potential of disenchanting something, but keeping the enchantment, perhaps moving it somehow. But fascinating. It's the sort of thing that I'm sure if he is capable can do.
Awesome, thank you. Was that all you wanted as well, brother?
That's everything on my part of things.
Please, and he slides across a small tin. It's on the house for the arrow.
That's very kind of you. Thank you, sir. And sorry, what was his name again?
Ewan Fletcher.
Ewan Fletcher. And you and I will see you shortly, I hope.
He nods. You have it's called Fletcher's Wood Oil. It's
Ooh, nice.
like a bow oil.
Pleasant.
Very
Yeah.
pleasant.
That's
I will not be putting that in my inventory. Is it just literally wood oil? And it has no other properties?
As far as you're aware.
Okay, well, I will make a note of it then. Fletcher's
Does
wood
say
oil. is
every
called.
bow you use +1.
It's wood.
Maybe.
Every time you fire an arrow, you are aroused.
Rupert, you can't fire an arrow.
I'm conscious
you
that
don't
that was
have
quite a
it.
bit of time. If anyone wants to jump in, then
It's good to get our RP back in.
yes, I would like. Shall I just explain what I'd like to do? Because I'd quite like to find.
Yeah, I think it's let's
yeah.
speed the process.
I was wondering if I might be able to find Richter and get him to come to the forge with me and potentially see if he can sell the sword for me, knowing that he has, or even failing that Ruthus.
I'll say that in fact this could work out quite nicely. As you exit the Sun Keep, Ruthus, you see.
I'm not going to exit.
Oh, you're not? Okay. Where? Oh, what are you gonna do?
Ruthus walks out of Tellura's room, wherever she was kept, and sort of he just kind of stands for a moment, kind of wide-eyed, staring at the floor. And he has kind of like a realization, like an epiphany. This is wrong. I must talk to Celeste. Something must be done about this. And Ruthus is going to go and find Celeste.
If you recall, she was unavailable because she was at the temple, the lunar temple, praying.
Okay, I'm going to go to the temple.
Okay, so you make your way towards the temple. Zook and Richter, after your adventure at the storehouses, what are you doing?
So I was actually also going to go to the Lunar Temple because Zook is fascinated by the moon-based religion and wants to see the work that the Empire sect is doing in the city.
Okay. In that case, Richter's going to wander about, and for ease, I'll say that you managed to shoot some messages off and.
They're quite close to the Lunar Temple and the Molten Star Forge, so I guess we would have walked
that's
together
right,
and maybe
yeah.
bumped into them.
Okay, yeah. In that case,
Yeah. I'd also be keen to go to the temple as well. If we bumped into those two, I'd be keen to go to the temple as well. I was planning to go at some point, but
I'll say. In that case, you detour to the Molten Star Forge, trying to sell your sword. This is before you haven't met with Ruthus. This is just you and Richter and Zook and Dutch. And you roll me a persuasion check for Richter.
Can I help him, or can
if you're proficient,
someone help him? Is that Is it any persuasion?
No.
Nah, I'm not. That's fine.
Although I can give him some. I'm going to give him a little bit of lover's thorn to chew on, and say, if you're looking for honeyed words, this will give you an extra bit of gumption. So if he chews on that, he gets advantage on charisma saving throws.
That's saving throws.
That's saving through.
Sorry, checks.
Checks, yeah.
I misspoke.
Oh, amazing. Thanks, dude. Oh, yeah, one was a 4, but the other's an 18.
Aha!
He gets chewing it. He walks in. You can see Strognor Redspire is an auburn-haired, like flame-colored haired dwarf, slamming like a red-hot hammer down upon many a piece of iron. He is like covered in soot. He's as chonk as he is tall. And you stand outside and you see within some words being spoken, and the dwarf kind of raises his big mitted hand and kind of clasps Richter's, taking the sword off his hands, kind of looking at it, giving it a rundown. He kind of flips it over in his hands, gives it a bit of a twirl, talks to Richter, hands him off a rather large-looking coin purse, and Richter returns. He hands the coin purse over. You check in. There is 800 gold pieces in there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Ooh.
I mean, the poison sword is a sick sword. It's a good sword.
Yeah, it's a good sword.
You would assume that Richter probably got a good price for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to sell?
So I'll open this up to sort of generally the group, but I've got the Raven figure, and I've also got this Ring of Comprehend Languages, which you don't need to attune to, and I'm thinking probably hang on to those things.
The ring is fucking cool, man.
And so's the Raven as well. But I don't know.
With the mount, isn't it? Yeah.
What does the Raven do again?
Sends
an animal. You can cast Animal Messenger with it.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely amazing.
Yeah.
Two items that don't require attunement that give you spells are like fucking great.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, you head towards the Lunar Temple, and striding across the courtyard with determination, you see Ruthus.
Aha,
Prince, well met.
my lord, a happy coincidence.
Ruthus looks a bit like rushed, a bit panicked.
Are you well?
No, Zook, I am not. I've just spoken with Talura, and my word, she has told me things that have shook me. This city is more on the verge of revolt than I thought. I need to talk to Celeste immediately. I heard she was here.
Oh, I see. Do you mean that there could be bloodshed within the next moon?
The next moon, today. It could be any time.
I have to say, in the storehouses, me and Richter may have encouraged some, I'd say, favor for you as a figure. I don't know what that'll do in the grand scheme of things, but there's some less hungry bellies. But anyway, if you need to talk to Celeste and she's in here, well, we're going in. So, shall we?
Yes, let's. And please don't fan the flames any more than they are already.
Noted. Dousing only.
There are these grand sort of white marble steps that lead up to the Lunar Temple. A tall building, but with like a domed, almost like a crescent moon roof. There seems to be quite a lot of guard presence, and it's the palace guard, kind of in their more kind of resplendent regalia that stand to attention, along with some what look to be the normal watch. As you begin ascending the steps, you see a figure kind of looming in the doorway begin to leave, and I need to get the door. Oh, challenge yourself.
It's the postman.
It's just a battering ram on those city gates. What do you expect from this, Ruthus? What do you hope to tell Celeste?
I need to be honest with her. I need to talk to her as one leader to another, that the actions she's taking, they could lead to the collapse of everything.
So you're saying that without revolt, there could be just as much, or without giving up your name, it could be just as much bloodshed as if there were revolt. The revolt is inevitable?
Potentially. There needs to be a different way. We need to find a different way than what she suggested.
From what I heard, Ruthus, Celeste's intentions are mostly good. She cares for the people of this city, regardless of how she has, of course, wronged you in the past. It seems like you are willing to forgive her, but in her blind sight to remove you as a threat, she has done herself the disservice of not realizing of what you truly could be, an advisor. Indeed, all of us could help this city. We could do good things to help her rule over this entire province. I think, thinking on it, you renouncing your name will do no good. I think you are noble and you are right to want to correct this with Celeste.
I agree.
She feels powerless, and that's understandable. The wind may blow, but the mountain does not move. The Empire is this mountain, and Celeste cannot shift it without a hurricane.
No.
We could be that hurricane. We could help her, show her, give her a demonstration of power, not to dethrone her, but to blow the winds in her favor. If she knows that we are true friends, if we can convince her of that, then together maybe we could make something good come out of this, a change.
Agree
Exactly.
wholeheartedly, Zook. Since I've known you, Ruthus, I have seen what a leader you are. You are strong and resolute, and honest and noble and kind, even in the face of even in the face of those who have wronged you in your life. If we were to listen, I do not know what the urgency is with regards to what brews in the east, but could we not in some way act as emissaries for Soulreach, for the Glinting province, make our way to the Empire and make our way to Xanthar, and try and negotiate better terms for the Glinting province itself? It seems that they've been dealt a dud hand. The people are suffering because of it.
Depending on how our discussion goes, that could very well be the case. These are wise and kind words you've both said. I know as a leader I've not always been correct. Sometimes it's hard to make a correct decision. And I know often I make them brashly. And I empathize with her. When I spoke with her, I could see behind her eyes that I think she was thrust into this position more quickly than she would have liked. And I don't want her rash decisions to cause any more kind of upset.
Well, you share the same name, your family, and that has to mean something. She has to have an ear open, at least, to you.
Hope so. Hope we can come.
Gypsies of fortune, pleasure. And you look up the steps and you can see Salvir, the quell, standing with a sort of small retinue of his followers, stacks of papers and such, as well as some of the kind of palace guards separating to let him through. He kind of descends the steps to kind of be in line with where you are. Coming to pray, are you, Ruthus?
You could say that. I've come to seek Celeste. I need her word. I need her ear.
I'm afraid that that won't be possible right now. She is deep within commune currently. She's not seeing
that's
visitors.
fine. I can wait.
Very well. Good day. And he turns to some of the guards and they follow him, or some of them do.
Was there something suspicious about the way, what he was saying there?
Roll me an insight check.
What is my insight? A 15?
Not particularly. He's definitely a shady and dodgy individual, even to begin with. But he's very difficult to read.
I turn to the group, say, you know, if we want to know what she really is doing in there, I could always attempt to see through magical means.
Oh.
It would help if we had a visage of her or something she owned. I don't know if we could go back to the palace and obtain such a thing. Otherwise, I can just attempt it.
I mean, I definitely have the capabilities to be able to make my way unnoticed into the palace if that's agreeable.
I just don't like going into these things blind. That's no good.
It's worth the effort while we wait.
I did have a couple of points of call that I would like to make before Ruthus gives his announcement. How long do we have? Do we know?
She did not say. Sometime today. But I'm resolute that I will speak to her before any kind of speech is made.
I mean, I could probably be in and out of the palace within an hour.
If you do, come and find me. I'll be in our quarters at the Lion's Perch. Somewhere private.
She's not at the palace, by the way.
Yeah, but we were thinking of going to the palace to try and steal something she owns in order to help with the spell.
I see.
Or we could cut out the middleman, so to speak. And I could simply head into the temple itself on my own and see if I can sort her out.
That may be quicker.
Okay. If that's agreeable, Ruthus, then I'm happy to do so.
It's worth a try, but Dylan, please be careful. If I don't want her to get the wrong idea.
Of course not.
Perhaps I can do something for you. Actually, meta-wise, Tashi, am I able to inscribe runes?
The knowledge of all the stuff you need for the class is part of the dawn. It dawns in you. Dawns on you.
Okay, great. Ruthus looks around and is there like a little area, like an alley or something I can go into to get some away from the street?
Yeah, you could all head down sort of the back alleys.
Okay, I duck into a little alley and I beckon Dylan over, and I take off the shield, the king's Aegis, Sun Aegis, and put it down on a crate. Do you have give me something, Dylan? Something, anything? Your bow, a pendant, a necklace, a ring. Anything mundane.
What about your hat?
Yeah, your hat. Your hat's perfect.
Okay, I'll pass off my hat.
I put it down on top of the shield.
Passing your hat over, the sun is uncomfortable upon you. The light actually hitting your skin is severely uncomfortable. It would be like putting your hand way too close to the flames of a fire.
That's strange. Is it particularly hot today? Or was that just...
So.
I suppose
don't
I
worry,
haven't really taken this thing off.
I'll be quick. Something happened when I took the shield. The moment I bonded with it, almost several lifetimes flashed through my mind, their knowledge filling my brain, and I feel like I can do something to help you here. And Ruthus kind of squats down next to the hat and lifts his hands, one like this and the other as if he's holding something else, holds it down towards the hat and brings the other hand up as if to strike. And at that moment, ethereal smith's tools appear in his hands, a chisel and a mallet that both look very almost like they were made by giants, kind of crude in a way. And they fizzle with a sparkly white light, as if just a line drawing of the tools themselves. And as Ruthus brings the hammer down on the chisel, they spark with magical light. And Ruthus chisels in a rune into your hat. And then he hands it back to you. I think this will help somehow. And Ruthus has inscribed it with a cloud rune.
Ooh. What does it do?
Cloud rune.
It gives you advantage on sleight of hand and deception checks.
Ooh, amazing.
Until we finish a long rest.
That's actually
Sleight of
sick.
hand and deception. Cool.
And if we're in a fight or at any time, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action. And for a minute, you have the ability to, when a creature is hit within 30 feet of you that you can see, you can use your reaction to choose a different target for that attack, regardless of the range.
What?
What's
No
the
way.
fuck?
That's great. How long does that last?
That lasts for a minute.
how? Yeah, but so that. But when? How long does the whole thing last? Because obviously I have to choose when.
Until we finish a long rest.
Okay.
Until we finish our next long rest.
That's pretty sick, man. Just one a day. Bam!
Dylan doesn't say much, but he just places a hand on Gnome Ruthus's shoulder and looks into his eyes, and with a knowing nod, Ruthus knows that he hopes he won't fail him in this task.
Use it wisely.
And with that, he disappears as I cast invisibility upon myself. I mean, I was supposed to in my hands, I rub together a piece of gum.
Can I be reading my book, please, Tashi, while this has been going on? Sorry.
Sure, you can start reading the book now.
Well, I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to interrupt people talking. I can just imagine as they're having this, Dutch would just go...
You glance up, you're just there in the alleyway, and you glance up and you're like... you glance up and you just see ethereal runes being smashed into a hat. You just kind of nod and carry on with your reading. Okay.
Amazing.
So, stepping out of the alleyway and heading back up the stairs, the archway into the temple is open. There are guards standing vigil, but I'd like you to make a stealth check for me, please.
Sure. Oh, it's a natural 20.
Oh,
fuck yeah, it is.
Which becomes a what?
36.
36. You
Rogues, man.
move
Dumb shit.
like the wind itself up the steps and into the lunar temple. You step in and immediately there's that, in fact, yes, I never get to use this playlist, temple playlist.
Ooh.
By the way, Ruthus is going to also go. Can I go into the temple? Is it guarded?
It's got guards on, but they're not blocking it off.
Okay, I'd like to just go in and just sit somewhere and wait for her.
Same.
Okay. You enter, and within the lunar temple, it's basically just one big open space within the middle. Various kind of pews and kind of corridors with the kind of archways on the side. There's kind of different little pulpits and things off within the temple. But the thing that strikes you all and is just extremely well made and grand is the domed ceiling. So the domed roof itself, quite high up, reflects that of the moon. It's the stone is kind of marked with the craters and the various lines of staring up at, when you're standing right in the center looking up at the arch, it's a whole circle, and it gives that weird flipped illusion of it would be kind of coming down at you, but because it's arcing up, it's that illusion. It's there, and weirdly standing and listening to your footsteps in the middle, it kind of reverberates in a really bizarre way off. The sound kind of reverberates all off it and comes straight back down, almost as if when you talk, when you're standing in the middle, it's like you're talking and you're hearing yourself speak. Have you ever done that in a science museum?
Yeah.
It's that
I've
thing.
got that in this room, in a specific spot over there. When you talk, you hear an echo of yourself.
I'd had a great image of Josh just kneeling down in a spot, just being like, hey, it's me.
How's it going? How are you today?
I'm so lonely. Please talk to me.
Believe in yourself.
So there are various priests moving about, all seemingly moon elves, kind of tall, slender, moving around with poise and grace, lighting and extinguishing various candles. Some move through the hall with incense in those sort of swinging lanterns. One of those. There are more palace guard within here, and you can see there is a collection of palace guard. Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
There's my fucking boy!
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
A guy.
Oh, I gotta swap you round. Oh no.
Namaste, bitch.
How are you all doing?
We're
Very
real
Much better
good.
for seeing your beautiful face.
How have you been?
Very quiet.
Okay. I'm
Oh,
yes.
we're in. We're all here now. You're on live on the internet.
Do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Just to catch you up, Aiden, they've did some more shopping, looked at some bows, and now they've all headed to the Lunar Temple to try and talk with Celeste, who's apparently disposed in the temple praying or in communion.
Okay.
You sold Dylan's poison scimitar or short sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you
at-
sold
at
it
the
for me.
Monster Star Forge
Oh.
to a brazen
Okay.
crimson haired dwarf.
Oh,
You
nice.
sold it. You got a good price. They rolled for you.
You agreed to go on
Oh.
a date with him in exchange for a better price.
Not a worry. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll
It's a
get
big
my
muscly
money's
dwarf
worth.
again.
Yeah, big
The
muscly dwarf.
had a chip in his ear.
He did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Okay.
It
Well,
wasn't.
I know who that is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's a slow burner. That one.
If you
Um,
suck too hard, you'll
Everyone
start
else is like,
coughing.
"What are you talking about?"
No one else knows.
I remember these knives from Kofin a long time ago.
You do.
Nothing leaves me.
Well, Kofin could come back. We don't know.
So,
Yeah, Kofin's
I mean,
fine.
technically, we could bring him back.
That's true.
We're like, we have the capabilities to do this, but nah, because
But-
of meta.
Yeah, meta doesn't make sense. So within the temple itself, you can see a set of fine double doors, kind of under an archway on the left-hand side that are currently being guarded by some palace guard standing vigil in front of closed, locked doors. That's probably the only thing out of place, really, within the temple. There's a few people in here. You can see, because it's the position of the Lunar Temple, it's so close to the storehouses and where these kind of communes, the slums are. The kind of walkway of the storehouses that walks down the middle of it just looks straight towards the temple, and you can see there are a few people. Clearly either beggars or extremely poor, just kind of sitting in quiet prayer within the temple itself. So Ruthus, you're inside, you're just sitting. Dutch, are you going in or are you sitting outside having a read?
I'm gonna sit on the curb and just read my book.
You sit on the steps
Dutch is happy.
of the temple reading a book. Zook, you've gone in.
Yep.
Richter,
So wait, Rufus has gone in.
Ruthus and Zook have gone in, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I will try and hang to Rufus as best I can to provide a liar's tongue that he no longer has.
Oh, and you have chewed some what, Zook?
Lover's Thorn. But that's probably worn off now.
Oh,
Because it's only a
lasts
minute.
I
bit.
chewed a
Oh,
lover's
right.
thorn.
You chewed
That
some
sounds
lover's
filthy.
thorn and it gave you advantage on charisma checks.
Oh, I bet
that
it
was
did.
for-
Everyone likes me now. Some guys are more popular than others.
Got really nice breath.
You almost as Ruthus's personal guard. You sit by him, or maybe you stand behind the kind of pew that he's sitting in.
Yeah,
Zook,
I'll be at attention.
Zook, what are you up to within the palace, within the temple then?
I'd like to approach the altar, if there's like some kind of central point.
So at the far end, it's not set up like a Christian church where it's all facing one direction. Instead, it's set up beneath that dome, the domed roof, which looks like the inverted moon, and all of the pews and all the things look towards that central space.
We can probably assume this is a relatively new build, right? I mean, this wasn't initially a moon worshipping town, was it?
Well, it wouldn't have been when maybe this. Well, roll me a history check.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I can tell
I
you.
don't have that tag, but here we go.
Ruthus could tell you, but it's nice.
I want to get it wrong. I want to get
Roll
it so
some
wrong.
dice. Yeah.
Bam. Here we go. Oof, 19. I pore over my library on my bibliographic knowledge.
So you don't know specifics about this town, but from kind of looking at things and your historical knowledge of the Empire, most of the Empire, especially these edges of the Empire that were still conquered or subjugated or whatever.
Out here in the borderlands.
A few hundred years ago at least. They would have existed probably previously as smaller settlements, and you remember that that there's talk of this. It's what kind of the rebellion is based off of the time before the Empire. That anyone that lives here now won't have even been the age to remember that, but it's that kind of generational thing of there was a better time.
Oh wait, so when Ruthus was living here before, it was already subjugated?
Yeah, he was born here and it was subjugated, born here.
Oh,
it's
right,
been
okay.
That way for a long time, yeah.
Oh, right.
You're not sure exactly when, meta-wise, it's probably been about 150 years, Ruthus. So like three or four generations.
A couple campaigns ago. All right.
Zeke was alive.
Zook was alive, yeah.
Seeing
I was right.
seeing Aiden like look around in interest at the room.
Who's Aiden?
Can I mean Richter.
Your god, Aiden.
Who is this mythical Aiden?
Done.
Can Ruthus try and think of some like cool historical fact to tell Richter about the Lunar Temple?
You tell me.
This Lunar Temple.
You tell me, Ruthus.
Well, I don't. Otherwise, I don't personally know. But can I do a history check?
Sure, roll me a history check.
Oh,
It's
for the sake of
12.
things. For the sake of things, I should probably mention, I imagine I'm still in the disguise that I was in when I was hanging out with Zook, handing out apples. So I don't look like a town guardsman anymore. I'm more like Rufus's bodyguard.
You look like Richter, but a more kind of a more resplendent Suncrest version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You
Fabio.
got a tan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got tan.
Italian vibes, Richter. So, with a 12, no, but you remember a story of you maybe as a kid being here, if you'd like to tell that.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me a tale, Rufus.
I entertain Richter with a tale of my youth, coming to the Lunar Temple.
Why would you tell me that story in a temple? Oh my god. Oh my. You did. Right. My god. With the candelabra. How can you get that in just one hole? Oh my god. Oh, this is a filthy religion. Thank you for the story.
I know. The kicker was I was only 12 at the time.
Oh boy.
I can't help but look at Mike's setup and just think he's going to lay on that bed and spread them.
Oh yeah, it's a proper like casting couch vibe.
Welcome
isn't
to
it?
my show.
Casting bed
$7.99
vibe.
an hour.
Hey man,
I don't know what that is.
we're washing the bedding, so it's all fucking drying on the rack.
Oh, where's Aiden gone?
He's gonna lie back.
I'm
with-
here. I'm just getting my thing sorted. 2 secs.
gonna lie
For
back
the
with
observant, you
cell
can also
phone,
see
just
the
going like
hilt
this with it.
of a sword behind his bedside table as well.
That's
For those observant of you.
Battle master.
So, yes.
I'm
So
back.
Zook, the central area is kind of like the main bit, so you can head there.
Okay. I'd like to maybe approach one of the beggars, and float. Kind of. So Zook, just by the way, so everyone knows, Zook essentially always has his legs crossed and his staff just like over his shoulder, and he floats around like that the whole time.
Goku.
Like,
You're Goku. Excellent.
Goku,
Finally,
yeah.
we have a Goku.
I'm
Like a monkey
shamelessly
tail.
like there's no hiding the fact that I'm constantly airborne. So I'm basically Yodering my way around. So I Yoda
Got
my
gas.
way over to this beggar, and I slowly like float around him at about eye level.
He's well, you're unsure if it's a man or a woman. They're definitely an adult from their kind of build, but their face is just bandaged up. Their arm looks to be in like a sling. You can see weeping of some kind kind of coming through the bandages, but they're just facing down and kind of whispering in some kind of prayer.
Forgive my intrusion. Do you mind if we converse a while?
They sort of gingerly look up, and you can see one eye between. It's kind of bloodshot. Please, you may sit.
I just float down onto the floor. Still crossed.
not.
What do you pray for?
Me, personally? It is unclear now. My mind is hazy. But I pray for the people. I pray for my allies. My brothers in arms.
I see. Are they in danger? Do they need the Moon Mother's protection?
Perhaps. There is always danger. But this Moon Mother I know not.
Then who are you praying to?
He kind of squints towards you. I don't know. I don't know.
Does he seem old? Like maybe senile?
Yeah, he seems very, very old.
Well, I'm sure your prayers will be answered. I'll bid.
He takes your small hand and kind of stares with the bloodshot eye. It's come close.
I come closer.
It's funny, really, how history repeats itself. And
Who are you?
You look down, and the hand is empty, and the man is not there.
Zook glances around
Oh, shit.
and just floats up and floats immediately over to Ruthus.
Zook?
Ruthus, something
is it?
very strange indeed just happened.
What? What did you see?
I think I just spoke with the king.
Is he here?
There was a beggar right there in the temple praying. And he leant in and he told me it's funny. how thi-
Shh. A couple of priests kind of walk by and shush you.
And he told me it's funny how things repeat, how history repeats itself. The exact words that were spoken in the Ashley Mountains. Why?
Ruthus looks troubled for a second, and then he does sort of like a quiet chuckle. It's funny how the king likes to repeat himself.
What's he do? He spoke to me. You have the shield. I have no connection with him. Why did he appear in the Ashley Mountains? Why here? I mean, I know the Sunstone is here, but
Maybe he's just keeping an eye on us, watching our actions at every turn to make sure we're worthy.
It's unnerving, I'll have to say. I mean, Mr. Jack's not the most up in front about things, but at least, he keeps to himself unless you seek him out. This king seems to stroll into our lives. He could be anyone.
I guess we haven't quite earned his trust yet, so
Dylan,
it's my only guess.
being invisible, where are you headed?
So, are there any other chambers off this main room?
Yeah, there are quite a few, most of which don't have closed doors, or there are a few closed doors that seem unguarded. You imagine that the priests have like a wing of the temple where they probably live, and there are sections that would lead off to that.
I will just go methodically and check each one, seeing if Celeste is in any of them.
Okay, roll me an investigation check then.
Okay. Blue dice, don't fail me! Ooh, it's really bad. That's a 14.
You scout. You spend the next maybe 25 minutes walking through corridors and archways and around. You see priests kind of coming and going. You find yourself in the toilet quarters of the kind of toilet block. There's
Celestial privy.
There's like privies that clearly there's like a river or a funnel bit of water that comes through underneath, and the poop kind of slides down a slant into
Poop
this
sluice.
thing.
Very nice.
And there's
Holy.
like 2 or 3 priests with their kind of all their robes kind of up, sitting in these privies. You find yourself in there for a bit, and you wander around, but you don't see any sign of like other palace guard or anything else. It's just, you know, it's just elves in robes.
Is there a like a statue of Saloon anywhere?
There isn't. No, there's no statues. There seems to be no
No
kind of iconography or depictions, and you would know that's fairly common for imperial towns. It's she's mainly represented as the moon itself and as like the celestial body that exists, rather than
Just to help me paint a kind of image in my mind, is like you say there's elves everywhere, but are they like a particular kind of elf?
Yeah, they're
Do they have like
all
a look?
moon elves. They're all very
Moon
slender,
elves.
tall, walking about.
Aloof.
Men and women, although they tend to be pretty androgynous. The depictions that you have seen of Saloon, when you've seen kind of iconography of her, is an elf, a moon elf, represented as this kind of white-haired, beautiful woman in white robes that sort of flow about her.
So failing being able to find Celeste, Dylan will go to the central part of the chamber where you said it, because it was all facing this central. And he's actually just going to go and sit down in the middle there and just sort of like cross his legs and rest his head upon his fist. And he's like, he knows he thinks either he hasn't done a particularly good job of actually sussing out the sort of layout of the temple, or he's just a bit distracted.
Oh no, you go ahead, Fia.
Yes.
So Dylan's
Yeah,
invisible, just so you know, Victor.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. He starts thinking about the experience with the Queen's umbral quiver and the entity that is linked to it. And he reaches up, and around his neck he's got the pendant that was given to him by his mother, the pendant of Saloon. He sort of takes it in one hand. I don't do this very often. But with respect to the mother that I can barely remember, at least in this current state, I feel like I might as well try and communicate with you in whatever way I can. I've never professed to be particularly religious. But supposedly, you're there, watching over some of us, I suppose. Me and my friends, we're trying to do the right thing. These entities that have gifted us with these powers are attached to these strange artifacts that we've acquired. I'm unsure of their intentions. Perhaps you could shed some kind of light with regards to this.
Cool.
Perhaps you could... Perhaps... if you truly are a benevolent being, you could help us in some way. I don't know if you could show us perhaps if Celeste is truly a servant of yours and she intends good things for the people of this city.
Roll me a.
My mother.
Roll me a. Roll me just a straight wisdom check.
14.
You sit for maybe 5 minutes or so. And I assume that conversation was in your head. Rather
Yeah.
than out loud. You feel at peace. And you feel kind of clear of mind while sitting in here. And although Draug has no real connection to Saloon, there is still the bond of the kind of lycanthrope and the moon and your mother. And everything around you seems to sort of almost fade as you kind of just sit in quiet meditation. And I'd like you to make me a charisma saving throw with advantage, please.
Two 3s.
Aw.
A 0.
You feel, or at least you think of your mother, and you think of her faith, and you feel like there's more there. Within yourself, you kind of feel this connection that is still untethered between the kind of waking you and the sleeping you, the past and the present version of yourselves. But you don't feel torn because of it. There's an almost peaceful nature to the not knowing, not having all of the troubles and all of the woes that your younger self, what Dylan once had. Draug is almost simpler and easier in nature. Perhaps some kind of coping mechanism for trauma. But there is no otherworldly divine intervention, and you just find yourself at kind of a feeling of peace and reflection.
Is it possible with that to go in? I presume I can see Ruthus.
Yep.
Would I be able to go and just like sit next to him, and I can just talk quietly under my breath, can't I?
Yep.
Ruthus, I'm so sad just you're left. I hope that none of the priests can hear me talk with you. Unfortunately, I was unable to find Celeste anywhere here, but I think it might be something to do with the fact that I do not know the layout of this place so well. Would you be able to enlighten me to any chambers that I could potentially try and find that might not be quite as obvious?
Yeah, what? Well, I don't say that out loud. What does
Is there any
Ruthus
chance
know?
I overheard that?
Yeah, Richter, you'd over here too, standing right there. How pious is Ruthus? How often would Ruthus go to the Lunar Temple, realistically?
Not very often. Probably only like when he had to, or ceremonially, or something.
I don't think you'd be aware of really the layout.
No. Are there any like more guards inside though, like guarding any doors or?
That's the guards I said to begin with. There's Royal Guard guarding a set of double doors on the left-hand side.
How many? 2?
4.
Ruthus says under his breath, I imagine she's behind there, but I don't know another way in.
Perhaps someone could cause a distraction. I might be able to slip in unnoticed. If
I could give it a go.
I love that look.
You just give me a signal, and I'll make something happen. Tashi, is there anywhere in the temple that is kind of out of sight of any of the priests or guards, like a set of stairs or something?
Yeah, there's a few alcoves that are set up for private prayer.
But anywhere where I could say larger than maybe 20 feet, like a staircase that maybe would lead to a lower chamber that I could perhaps have something like run out of, rather than just a tiny little cubby.
To the right, there's a few archways that lead, that seemingly lead down quite a large corridor to the wing where the priests live.
Okay, I'll position myself next to the archway, maybe a bit behind it, and try and stay out of sight. Is there anyone in the corridor, or is it clear?
Roll me a stealth check. You can wait for an opportune moment where there is no one in the corridor.
Okay, I'll cast Pass Without Trace whilst I do this. So my feet, I float silently, I suppose.
Can I nick some of that Pass Without Trace?
Oh yeah,
That's possible,
sure.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Sweet.
I'll do it on everyone. Right, here we go. It's a 17 plus 3 plus 10, so 30.
Okay. You wait for a bit, and there is indeed a moment of opportunity. What do you do, Zook?
I cast Conjure Animals in the corridor.
Right, you can roll on the table.
Yeah, where we at? What terrain? What sort of?
I would say grassland, plains.
Grassland. Sure. Okay, I've switched it up.
Urban.
Yeah, I've switched it up to be a roll a D100, and we shall see. So it's a 4th level spell, just because I'm out of 3rd level ones. Here we go. Okay.
What comes rushing around the corridor?
Ah, classic.
Owls.
Okay.
Oh no.
Panthers or something.
Right,
Nuts.
so there's a sudden gust of wind almost throughout the corridor, and a screech as 2 giant eagles swoop down and start flapping around the center of the temple.
As soon as
Oh,
that happens,
no.
I'm making a break for it, going for that door,
And
just,
they-
like slip in as best I can.
Yeah,
You know when birds get trapped inside as well and they
Yeah.
can't get out?
Oh
It's
my God.
fucking
They're like flapping
disastrous.
and hitting the walls and
They
like
just
hitting
start
the
shitting up
in the windows.
Yeah, they're shitting on the priests.
Colossal bird thing.
chaos immediately erupts. Some of the priests like back up, knocking some of the pews, kind of scraping along the marble floor. Oh goodness! a couple of the kind of beggars that are within there kind of stand up and they're like, "Praise be!" The four guards that are guarding the door, two of them, I mean, they all look shocked, but two of them kind of nudge the other two forwards, and two of them, without their swords drawn, kind of come forwards, looking around, looking up at these giant eagles. What are the eagles doing? Are they just flapping around?
They're just flapping around, maybe back towards the entrance, like flapping up, trying to basically draw the guards away from the door as much as I can.
One of the guards begins sprinting over towards. Hang on, let me put.
And obviously, we're looking shocked and shying away from them.
Rufus is going to like jump
Where
to
did
his
they
feet
come
as
from?
well and look towards the guards. And Ruthus is going to try like his hardest to like corral the birds and like get them out the door. He's going to look at the guards and be like, "Help me with these things."
Roll me a deception check, please. Well, I guess you're not deceiving
Well,
in any way.
I'm not
Roll me a
lying.
performance. Yeah, you're not lying.
A natural 20.
Oh,
Nice.
They are disturbing the peace.
nice.
One of the guards goes sprinting off towards the door, yelling. One more of the guards leaves the door, and they both sort of step up, looking towards you. Lord Sunquest, what do we do? But there's still one guy standing in front of the double doors.
Have you not got any nets or anything?
One of them pulls across, the crossbow sort of off his back and points it up.
I put a hand on it and push it out the way a little bit. Don't hurt them. They're creatures of this earth.
I've spilled blood in a church.
The final one that stood by the
is a
door,
lie.
I'd like to try and trip up, like as if, but it's sort of as if it's an accident. You know, do you know what I mean? Like as if they just sort of like,
Stumble.
they just sort of stumble forward.
Which one? The last one?
Yeah. The last one that stood in front of the door.
Roll me a sleight of hand.
Okie doke. That will be a 26.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to do because he's just standing still, but somehow you manage to sort of like
That's good.
jam your kind of leg between his legs, and he's like stumbles forwards away from the door, looking about wildly.
And with that, I'll go for the door. Like open it softly, and then close it behind me as I go in.
Okay, roll me a stealth check with disadvantage because he is.
So a straight roll.
So a straight roll because he's
Okay.
literally standing right there.
I realised
okay.
as soon as I cast Conjure Animals, I lost concentration on Pass Without Trace as well.
Oh,
That's
okay.
fine. That will be a 22 total.
Okay. While he's spinning and just facing the other way, you open the door and you make it through. It closes silently as you hear him turn. Huh?
Did I know?
Skyrim NPC, motherfucker. I must be playing tricks on me.
What was that?
What was that?
While the birds are flapping around and the chaos ensues,
heard a
behind the
noise.
door, you can see there is a set of stairs that lead down, and they kind of go down,
Okay.
turn a corner, and go back on themselves.
And down those steps I shall go.
You begin making your way down the steps.
There's nothing. There's never anything sinister.
I
down
will.
the
I'm looking. I'm
downstairs
looking
steps of the
for
church.
anything on the steps as well, like anything that's like
There's-
potentially a
there's a
trap
few-
or anything like that.
There's a few kind of like candelabras that are lit.
Corpses.
And
Fucking
kind of
sinister.
smouldering with some candles in. So it's a dimly lit area, but they're just
Okay.
pretty bland, like a stone kind of stairwell that leads down.
Whoa, what's going on, Mike?
Going down
Sorry.
and turning. A bird.
They live there and they fucking scream all the time.
They're nice.
We have a pet
Yeah, they
seagull
do.
outside.
Blessed creatures of the skies.
You turn the corridor and you can see there is a like the
I hear the
steps go
birds
down
screeching.
again. fucking cars.
It's eagles.
There's a corridor with another set of double doors, and as you turn the corner, you hear a kind of clunk clunk of another palace guard. He turns and he's like, I don't know what's going on, and he's like jogging up the stairs, and there's another guard in front of a door.
Oh fuck!
on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to roll me another
Splinter
stealth
cell
check,
brace
please.
against the walls.
Okay, that's fine. Natural 20.
Oh,
Oh, son.
Yeah, baby. It's on.
it's
It's
good.
on.
You just move up to the side, and he just passes you, heading up towards
Okay.
the door. You hear him opening the door above, and it's, what the hell's going on? And there's just chaos erupting upstairs. The one guard kind of stands nervously, but peering directly down sort of the corridor towards you,
Okay.
but cannot see.
It's tricky.
There's always the classic throw a rock.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't have much left actually. So, flying down the corridor comes a aggressive owl.
Oh, this is like
Or just
literally
not even
the
aggressive.
bird
It's just
that
like
hit
an
that
owl
film.
flies down and starts flapping around, like all freaked out. Like, what's going on?
Right, he's gonna hang on. I'm gonna roll to see his reaction.
They must be nesting in the rafters.
He, looking scared and shook, draws his sword and attacks the owl.
Okay, with that, I will go for the door as soon as I see him react.
Okay, he's gonna make his attack. Oh, that's a 14 to hit Ook.
Ooh, okay.
It's not the best roll, but I don't think.
11 AC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a single hit point each got as well.
Make me a sleight of hand check as you kind
Okay.
of
With advantage.
nip past him.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes, yeah, it would be a sleight of hand.
Yeah, because of the thing. That will be a 26, sorry.
Okay. In the chaos, as he strikes Ook, you slide past, going for the door. It's a real squeeze. You see the sword collides with Ook, and it just he just kind of disappears into air. You click open the door, squeeze your body sort of round in the nick of time, and close it behind you with another very good roll.
Oh my god.
What did you get exactly?
A 26.
26. He rolls well, and you hear him go, huh? And you hear the door click behind you as he opens the door, kind of staring in to the room that you've just entered, like
Yeah.
seemingly confused. The room under here is dimly lit by candles, and you can see within the middle that there's almost like kind of steam floating in the air, and it feels warmer
Yeah.
down here. You see a couple priests kind of moving about. One comes out of the mist towards the doorway. What's going on? And the guard's like, I don't know. Is everything okay in here? And the priest is like, yes. Please, you must leave. You shouldn't be in here. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. And he turns and closes the door again. Within this chamber, you can hear kind of splashing water. And through your senses and your blind sight, you can sense there is a pool, maybe a bath of some kind, and you can sense and hear, maybe half a dozen people within this room moving about. You can smell sweet perfumes and various sort of other fragrances.
Yeah, I'll just start exploring the space, trying to see what I can find. See if I can find Celeste.
Okay. Roll me a perception check, but with
Okay.
disadvantage, because within this room, the kind of steam and the heat and all of the kind of noise and bubbles, it's quite difficult to. It's like your senses are kind of
Sensory
overloaded.
overload.
two tens,
Although
which
saying
is
that
a 21
you have a straight roll then, don't you?
potentially.
Yeah. Although you can take that if you want.
Yeah, but you were saying the sound was disruptive as well, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay.
Uh,
A 21.
so 21 that'll be.
You hear the voices of. Let me put this on. You hear the voices of what you recognise as Celeste's voice. You've heard it before, listening through the door. Talking with a voice you don't recognise.
Okay.
It concerns me somewhat. It troubles me, troubles my mind. And what of the child's health? The child is good. Any day now, I think. This is good to hear. Very good. Come. Bring her more of the stones. And you hear the kind of hissing of a hot coal being placed into liquid.
I'm gonna stay and.
Okay. You stay, and you overhear. Essentially, it looks to be Celeste having some kind of ceremonial bath beneath the temple. You hear her kind of talking with what you now kind of assume is maybe a more senior priest of Saloon. They discuss in length the child and how it's doing, and various kind of maidens, handmaidens, come and fuss about her, making sure she's clean. There's like one of the priests kind of inspects her, like you would if you went to the hospital to get your baby checked out, but it's priests and it's medieval times.
So you're saying it's not
Medieval
okay?
natal care.
Huh?
Are you saying it's not okay? And it's just some poor pregnant woman in a bath getting...
No,
Getting scrubbed.
she's got her retinue sort of with her.
Oh, okay.
You hear her kind of talk with this priest about her concerns, but the parts that probably most vital or most important is you hear her talk about her concerns, her worries for the day, and talking of Ruthus and Ruthus's speech. She talks almost like a confessional with this priest about how Ruthus almost holds the power to sway the people at this point, and the priest, says how with Saloon's guidance he will surely make the right decision, the decision to quell the people and calm them of their rebellious ways and see the light of Saloon and so on and so forth. How long are you waiting for?
I will wait for her to leave, and if I need to cast invisibility again, then I will.
I will say that, at this point you probably need to recast it as you kind of sit and
Okay.
listen. She doesn't seem to be leaving.
Okay. Give me how long did it take me to get down here, but giving me a bit more time?
It's only maybe 5 minutes. It's not ages. Just to go.
Okay.
Maybe not even that, heading up.
Yeah.
Although, time or not to squeeze past
Okay.
guards.
So give me 15 minutes before the second spell ends.
Okay.
And if she hasn't left in that time, I'll leave.
Roll me another perception check.
Okay.
Straight,
Is this to hear? Is this to hear what they're saying?
Yeah, straight roll.
Okay. That will be a 16.
It's relatively easy to kind of eavesdrop on them. As she talks about her kind of concerns within the keep, and she talks of Christoph, talking about his childish arrogance, but also talks about him fondly for his redeeming qualities and the things that he is good at. But the thing that really catches your interest is she talks with the priest and seems to mention the fact that this child, this divine child, is not Christoph's child.
Okay. Fuck.
They talk of the divine consummation.
Aha, Christoph's a
Oh
cuck.
no, it's an immaculate conception.
They don't say immaculate conception.
Fuck.
They talk of the divine consummation.
Got dicked down by God.
Some high priest somewhere.
It's definitely a priest. He sprinkled some of his holy water about, and then, boom,
They
pregnant.
talk of.
Okay.
They talk of how the child shall be born of noble blood, and shall be both the people and the empire, and shall inspire great things in this region to come, etc., etc.
Okay.
Eventually, she's sort of pampered down, dressed, etc., and they do leave. At this point, I assume you've dealt with the eagles, and they've.
I imagine we should, with some mind encouraging, I will allow them to fly out of the front doors and off out of sight into the sky
Okay.
before dismissing the smell.
Yes.
Sorry, I have a quick question. I'm trying to do the Gypsies inventory again.
Yeah.
We spent 1,500 so far on things, and we got, was it 4,000 golds worth of platinum or 4,000 platinum we had?
4,000 golds worth of platinum.
Okay. Cool.
I think you spent more than that. You
Nah.
1,000 on a diamond, 1,000 on a jewel encrusted bowl.
Nah, one sec, got it here. Yeah, we spent 2,500, sorry.
Bit-
So we have 1,500 left.
Yeah.
I've written how much we have left as well. I've already written
Fiddling
it
that
down.
expenses account, you know.
But,
Claim it back.
Yeah.
Claim it back. Don't worry.
So we
Yeah,
have 30,000
I spent all of
gold.
my
Just added a
eyebrows,
zero
so
there.
it's fine, right?
4,000 platinum, I believe.
He's
yeah.
going to
When
be
you say
money
1,000
laundering
When
through
you
a
say
fight ring.
1,000 golds worth of platinum, you mean 1,000 platinum.
Yeah. I wanted to be sure. I was like, hang the fuck about.
Wishful thinking.
Can't blame me.
You see the doors open, and coming out from the side chamber, you see Celeste and her retinue. A couple of the guards move over to some of the other guards, and you can see them explaining kind of what happened. And they look about, sort of wildly. But nothing bad came of it, so they seem on guard, but relaxed to an extent.
Stupidity of lesser subordinates. They're just like, well, don't worry, we handled it, but it was obviously really fucking weird. So, but they're just like,
But they're
because they
like,
handled it, they're like,
yeah,
whatever, it's
we
fine.
handled it. We're not going to tell anyone higher than us because it will make us look bad.
Yeah,
People won't. We handled it. Let's just.
it all went
Sweep
to
that under the
plan,
rug.
exactly as I envisaged.
She kind of moves past, not seeing you, Ruthus. I imagine
What?
you were sitting. Or something,
Yeah,
but you
as soon as I
stepped.
see her come out, I get to my feet and approach her.
Some of the guards kind of step up, but then notice it's you, and she raises her hand. Ruthus,
Please, Celeste, I need your ear. Is there somewhere we can talk in private?
She sort of looks to the elderly priest that's with her, and he kind of nods, and you follow him to a kind of more secluded alcove within the church, within the temple. Is everything okay? You seem agitated.
Yes, but we need to talk about what's to come later today. The speech, the arrangement we've made.
I hope you're not going back on your word with us.
I'm not going back on my word, but in terms of that, I truly wish to help things here, but we need to renegotiate.
She sort of sighs. And what are your new terms?
Please, can we sit?
She sits on a pew, kind of holding her large belly.
Please hear me out. This is important. The bargain we struck is wrought with failures, Celeste. I beg of you, we have to reconsider and make this work even better for the both of us, and I believe it can be done. Your proposal to give up my name is not just a simple request. It's something that I'm sure, if you continue to hold to the belief that it will change things, it will inevitably be seen as an act of coercion. The people will see it as an act against the province that they know and love. I've spoken with other individuals, and it doesn't take long to walk amongst the people in the city and to feel the seething rage that lurks in the streets, Celeste. That anger that they already harbor is simmering just below the surface, and believe me, it's ready to overflow and consume this city, burn it to the ground if needs be. I don't think you realize, and honestly, neither did I, that by inviting me here, you've summoned a flaming torch into a straw forest. It only takes one action, one word even, to set things in motion, as it seems some people are all too ready to take up action. What will happen if you make me go up on that stage and denounce my name is that they will see their newly appointed leader, yourself, that they did not choose to be here, stamp out the family that ruled them and their ancestors justly for many generations. This isn't a mere attempt to keep my name. I hope that by coming to you and revealing this will earn me your trust, because believe it or not, now that I've had a moment to think, I can see a huge amount of potential in you, Celeste. I implore you, please, as a leader with so much promise, as a mother-to-be, do not throw it all to the wind by trying to take my name.
Roll me a persuasion check with this.
Have we been talking for a minute?
Yep.
Okay, this is something I always forget to do and hardly ever do it. But the diplomat feat, if we've been talking for a minute, then she needs to make an insight check against my persuasion.
I rolled a natural one.
Oh.
So did I.
No.
Oh.
Oh dear. I think.
Oh
you probably
god, I
failed.
don't even know what happens.
What's yours? A persuasion though.
Yeah,
Oh
so
no,
mine's
that's loads.
mine's plus 12.
Yeah, her wisdom, her
Ooh.
insight isn't plus 12.
Okay.
So even with a
Oh.
even with a natural one, so it means
Okay.
you have
One
advantage.
success.
So did I. That was
Remember.
great.
Five or something?
You did so
Um,
proud of yourself as well.
So did
'Cause I
I.
never remember to do it. I remembering rules. It means that she's charmed, so now I get advantage on persuasion checks in the future.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So persuasion. So now I have advantage on this persuasion check you've just asked me to do.
Theo, you're in the dark, bud.
Oh,
Yeah, it
let
looks
me
like
turn the
your
light
light's
on.
on.
It's
Up to
it's
the
literally
light?
just gotten dark outside. I'll just turn on my light.
man cave.
Sec. The man cave, yeah.
A 24 I got.
24. Ruthus, I understand the plight of this city. And I understand that this choice is difficult. I'm glad that you see such potential in me. But I also know that the people here, the people do love me. The people love Saloon, and they love the faith they have for me and this child. And I do not believe they would throw that away. Not all of them, at least.
No, I agree. I see it. I know these people do, and I can see the ones that do. However, you are ignoring the other side. The ones that could burn it down. Please listen. I propose that instead we work together. Instead of putting me on that stage and denouncing me as a scapegoat to solve your issues, you have the opportunity to use us to help the people of Soulreach. I can see the devotion that you have to this cause, and though I'm not a pious being, I have seen the power of the gods, and you clearly hold Saloon's blessing. By being seen to accept help from us, you'll be infusing the people with hope, of peace, and a better life. You'll be both quelling the rage of those that oppose your sudden rule and the anger of those that are suffering under it. They will see that you are merciful. They will see that you are just. They will see that you are willing to cooperate, to negotiate, to listen. Celeste, these are the keys to leadership. And these are the things that will earn you the people's trust. Please, take my advice. I could see it in your eyes the moment I arrived. You are so young, and even though you clearly have a will of wrought iron, the weight of leadership is heavy. I can see you have been thrust onto a pedestal more quickly than you would have liked. You are in the deep end here, and it would be all too easy to sink down into the black depths. Celeste, I propose that you allow us to go amongst the people and help them in any way we can. Use us to negotiate on Soulreach's behalf with the Empire and with the Silvermark. Use us as emissaries of peace. It's something we've done before, and the people will know that they'll know of the great deeds that we've done, and now we'll be at their disposal, acting on their behalf. And if it doesn't work, then, well, we'll be the ones at fault and not you and your court.
Hell of a speech.
I can see you've thought greatly on this. Perhaps I was naive in thinking that my plan would solve everything. I must admit that it was Salvir's idea to begin with. And it was a brash one, but with good intention. I do not know whether you will be well received by the rest of the Empire. I know not how those negotiations will go. But I truly see that you have the best in mind for Soul Beach and the people here, and you would not see it burnt to the ground by rebellion and uprising.
Wish that none of this had ever happened, to be honest, but what's happened has happened, and I do not wish this city to dissolve into chaos again. The people don't deserve it.
So, what do we do? Do you talk to the people and tell them of this plan? Do we tell them we will change things? We will negotiate with the capital and with the merchant guilds and try to come to some kind of arrangement for these extortionate taxes and quotas that are being placed upon us.
That is what I will say, and that's what I will strive to do. However, that is only half of the issue. You are the leader of this city now. You must take care of your own here in the city. In the meantime, as we said before, you must be seen to take action now to ease the suffering that some are suffering. That's why when we go up on stage together later, you will also tell them exactly what you're going to do to help them. They need to see it. They need to feel your devotion.
I will think upon this.
I suggest you think of something physical, some kind of action that you can put into force straight away. Something you can tell them will happen and they will see happen.
The Elven Embassy will not like this, but I know what I must do. And there's almost a slight smile to her face. It'll be the start of our own revolution, Ruthus. One of peace, one of collaboration. I see now what must be done. At 4, meet me in the square. I shall have to prepare a speech. At this moment, you hear a, "Let me through. Let me through, I say." And Salvir suddenly looms in the doorway. "My lady, please, we must head back to the temple, to the Sun Keep." And she kind of looks up. "Yes, of course, Salvir. You've dallied here far too long." And he gives you like the dirtiest of looks, Ruthus.
I give Celesta a knowing nod and say, "So, I'll see you at 4."
So she promptly leaves, and you are left in the temple. It's about 2 in the afternoon, so there's only a few hours. What do you wish to do for the next couple hours, Gypsies?
I'd
Find
like
Dutch.
to continue reading, please.
Okay.
Let Dutch carry on reading.
Just so you know, Aidan, when you turn your video off, it pushes
Yeah,
the
go on.
whole thing out of order. So on the Twitch stream, you can't see Dylan or Dutch or yourself anymore because you disappear from the thing.
Okay, sorry. I just had to.
Get a post-it note or something and cover it
All
rather
right.
than turning yourself off.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have 2 hours.
You have a couple hours, yes.
I'll do some brewing,
Okay.
I think.
I'd like to go grab this bow. I was gonna see if I could borrow some group gold, so I can get the what was the? There were 2 bows in the shop front. I was going to get the better one, but not the like 5,000 gold
So there's the
one.
Bow of Storms and the Bow of Thorns.
I was going to get the Bow of Storms for 1,500. If I'm able to borrow some gold from the kitty, I've got most of the money for it.
How was it
How's it borrowing?
1,500?
It's all of our money. I think you should just be able to take it, right? I mean, how's it borrowing? You earned it.
Yeah, but it's like for joint stuff. But
Zook still.
Oh, you'll
puts
be
no
helping
value
us
in
with that
economic.
bow, no doubt.
yeah, no, it's yeah.
So you want
I've got-
700, yeah?
That. Just give me. Yeah, well, yeah. I'll give you back what's left.
This is where Dutch
give me
reveals his
700.
interest rate.
Yeah. Dutch is like,
Dutch is multi-classing in usury now.
Yeah, Dutch was saving up, but all of it
Your,
went. and
your
then-
next tattoo is just
Listen,
a loan
Dutch has
ship.
got a very tidy little Shylock
Yeah.
business on the go, and
yeah, I love
Dutch,
Look, okay,
I'll say you've
is what it
managed to
is.
read another 3 hours
Thank you.
of your book.
So I've done 3, and what did I do the night before? 2.
2.
Okay, so you want? I'll give you 700. That'll give you enough.
yeah, and then I can get the arrows as well, actually. Which were 100? Are they the
There were
arrows? You
100
said?
each, and there were 5 of them.
Oh fuck. Okay. I'll just get the bow then. I don't even need that much then.
Well, how much money do you have?
I've got 1,100 pretty much. So I
So
only
400.
need. So I only need.
460.
Give me 500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 1,500 you part with, and the Bow of Storms is yours.
And I'd like to attune to it, and then I'd like to go to the Sunset Archives, and then other people can do whatever they want to do first. And
Okay.
yeah, I just want to do some research in the Sunset Archives after attuning to this bow.
You attune to the bow. So, the Bow of Storms is a +1 bow.
Okay.
And as a bonus action, once a day, you can cast True Strike.
Okay.
True strike.
Which is an action, but it's
Strike.
a bonus action once a day.
Fuck. Okay, so that gives me advantage.
Gives you advantage on the strike. Yeah.
Cool.
Amazing. Okay, awesome. I'll write that down, I guess. What's a Bow of Storms? It's called.
The Bow of Storms.
Cool. Nice. Once a day, that is. Cool. I see you're eating food, my man.
Dinner's in the chat.
Dinner's
in the chat.
Star.
Aubergine curry.
I got that new microwavable sweet and sour chicken vegan one from Sainsbury's.
Ooh.
I need to try that.
Nice,
Should
it's-
we have a minute? Because I'd quite like to go for
Yep.
a piss.
I was going to say, and we'll have a short break there.
Well, so you can finish
Get a
your
bev.
foods.
Get a
Oh,
bit.
should we just
Oh yeah.
finish it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Peace,
Bev.
peace,
Do you want to pause the
everyone.
audio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in 10?
Hang on.
Nice.
Yep, back in 5. back on Gypsies of Fortune. Hashtag Gypsies of Fortune UK.
My halberd already done had curses. I'm sitting on that one. Sitting on that. It's like, I know eventually we're going to make a drag queen reference in our game, and I'm going to use it then.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Wait, can we use that as our intro? Just Aiden. She already done had curses.
Hey, if we can get sued by RuPaul, that's great publicity, you know?
Oh my god.
Past fracking.
Oh,
So
that was
good.
fresh.
Oh.
Next level. I live for those moments. So,
The next card has to be a drag queen, sorry.
Dylan, Dylan's going to the archives. What's everyone else doing for the next couple of hours? Going to explore this
Brewing.
bit.
Richter would like to just have a little carouse around and see if there's any kind of magic emporium or somewhere he might be able to peruse.
There is the Witch
ritual
Vault,
spells.
which
There fucking is.
they went to before. You can head to.
Can you buy Witch Bolt at the Witch Vault?
You can't, but I like it. So, Zook, Ruthus, Dutch, what are you doing?
Brewing.
Reading.
Brewing. How are you brewing? Do you have a brewer's kit? Do you have a alchemy kit with you?
He's brewing
I
Pruno.
always have an alchemy kit, don't I?
Don't you have a herbalist kit?
Yeah, but
You can have mine if you want them.
yeah. There you go.
Big-
A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Okay, you take the alchemy kit and you just start brewing in the street, I guess.
Hey,
Brew
hey,
it.
whoa. You didn't let me elaborate. I'm gonna leave
Make your roll, son.
fucking carts and shit coming past, smashing my tinctures.
You're just floating there, pouring things into vials.
Yeah.
Some people come by. Hey, you brewing meth?
Right.
Don't
let's
be
get-
so
let's
obvious,
get back
man.
on track.
No,
Where are you
I'm-
going to go?
Oh, fuck off at the city walls, find a nice field somewhere, and settle down in the lovely natural world.
All right. What are you going to brew?
I'm attempting to. I'll mash up some pepper berries
Mm-hmm.
and sprinkle in a bit of wild sage root. Sort of just. I think that's what you need to kind of make it a potion.
Mm-hmm.
Spit in it a little bit, and then I'll get Cinder out, and I'll get him to just kind of like dip in and out of the bowl. It's just
Caramelize it.
just sort of singeing the ingredients, and then crushing them up again, adding a little bit of water, and then I'll attempt to make a potion of fire breath.
Okay, yeah, with the pepper berries. Okay, make me a alchemy check then, please.
So is this intelligence?
Alchemy is intelligence and herbalism is wisdom. Is how I do it.
Yeah. Okay. That's it's a good roll. 16 plus 7, so 23.
It takes you an hour, but a successfully brewed potion.
Oh, excellent.
Well done. So you can write that into your inventory.
Fantastic. If that's 1 hour, can I brew another one?
You'll be late for the thing if you do.
Then
so.
I shall leave it there.
Richter, you head to the Witch Vault, and Byron Shade greets you. The sort of a sallow elf.
Hello, good lady.
He has a couple things for sale.
Hello, good sir.
That were previously looked at. He has to expedite things. He has Essence of Toad, which is the Toad potion, as well as the Bone Bag.
The bone bag is fucking sick.
He doesn't demonstrate because that actually uses up a bone from it. But he also has the third thing that you find, a scroll, which is a Vault of Amber scroll.
Oh. Vault of Amber. Could you explain this
okay.
scroll to me, sir?
A Vault of Amber is a cool custom spell, but it's great, and I stole it. It essentially acts a bit like a bag of holding, but you can you have a piece of amber, and you can essentially store objects within the piece of amber.
Okay. I was more interested to know if he had any ritual spells for sale, perhaps.
Ritual spells? No, I don't believe I do, I'm afraid.
Not even, shall we say, under the cauldron persuasion. 17.
I'm afraid I don't. If you're looking for something else, I mean, I do have this rather nasty, old. I can't seem to palm it off on many people, but perhaps you will take it. And he places this old,
Not a good pitch.
dirty-looking
Okay.
bag on the table.
Oh, musty. Okay.
This
is
bag
this-
can store anything you want within it.
What?
People refer
a-
to them as bags of holding.
A bag of holding? Well, that's fascinating. Why does it look so, worn?
I don't know.
You don't.
It's not
I mean,
quite as good
well,
as a normal bag of holding. Sometimes it spits things out it doesn't like, or it's a bit picky.
I see. So with this fault that you've just mentioned, I'm certain that you're no doubt looking to get rid of it at a bargain price.
Yes, I'm happy to. You could take it off my hands for the low price of $500.
$500.
$500.
Well, I mean, it's an intriguing offer. However, I do think we could perhaps parlay a little bit more intensely. You have already told me that your stocks of rituals are dangerously low, and I, my friend, have some fine rituals that I could trade with you, perhaps for, shall we say, half off.
Roll me a persuasion check.
20. Not natural, but 20.
I have no need for rituals. You can have it for the half. 250 gold.
Deal.
Deal.
Deal. Absolutely. I don't see anything wrong here. I'm gonna just, even though I'm doing it, I'm gonna insight him anyway.
Sure.
That's a 22 insight.
It cost him 5 gold.
One more slight. He carries on holding your hand. One more slight thing. There's something of mine that is in there that belongs to me, and I can't get it out. If you perhaps could persuade it otherwise, I'd be most grateful.
Well, if you were to perhaps enlighten me as to what it is I'm trying to extract, I have only the faintest understanding of bags of holding, but I believe one must know what one is seeking if they are seeking to extract it.
Just think of a lovely rabbit.
Okay, I will do this. And Richter conjures in his mind the idea of just a perfect, beatific, like festive spring bunny, the very symbol of fertility and joy and the blossom of spring as it bounds through the meadow as he plunges his hand deep into the moldering bag.
You shove your hand in the bag, and it feels dank and wet and gross. And immediately the bag kind of tightens around your upper arm, kind of shaking and kind of gripping your arm.
I appear to now be in the bag.
To roll me an animal handling check, please.
Yeah, that's not my thing. Okay.
You're gonna go in the bag, son.
In the fucking bag. Yeah, boy.
14.
14. You
14.
wrestle with
So
the bag.
this is how Richter goes.
But eventually, you pull your arm loose, and the bag goes still once more, and you pull out from it what looks to be a decomposing dead rabbit. Oh no!
Did you intend to put this in your bag of bones, sir?
He takes it from you. Oh, sweet nibbles. And he takes it, turning away and looking forlorn. Please, you must leave. If you have
Is
any
there
pets,
anything else in this bag?
Don't let it near them. I don't know. I can't get it to work for me.
So the bag is as sold. Anything else that might be in it is now mine.
I mean, you tell me. If someone comes after you for something that they'd lost in it, that's not my problem.
Well, maybe I'll make it your problem later. But for now, thanks very much. And I slam 250 gold on the table, and
Nice.
I'm off with my wonderful bag of holding, which I'm kind of too scared to put anything in. But
Okay.
yay!
Okay.
Moldering bag of holding.
Ruthus, what are you up to?
Ruthus is gonna walk out of the temple and get to the bottom of the steps, and he kind of like looks about the city with a new sense of kind of like excitement and like, you know, and promise of what's to come. With 2 hours to spare, he's gonna go to the archives
Okay.
as well, just for a bit of time.
Richter, just so you know, you can write down the bag of withholding in your inventory,
Bag of withholding.
which you'll be happy to know I
Amazing.
just invented. Isn't
Oh,
that sick?
that's good. I'm sure it's been well considered, and this can't lead to some catastrophic outcome.
Well, I just invented the name. I looked up rhyme zone for holding. I was like, yes, withholding. That's it. That's it.
Okay, I think we can find a use for
So
this. All right.
meta-wise, if you want to take anything out of it, you have to roll an animal handling check, DC 12.
Okay, and does that
Nice.
include anyone else who wants to take anything out of it?
Anyone that wants to take anything out of it, yes.
I like that.
Excellent. I think I know a lovely gnome who's going to get a lot of use out of this.
So you head to the archives.
Just gotta tickle the balls.
The archives are a kind of squat, quite rectangular-looking building with a large tower in the center. It seems to be mainly sort of patrolled by what look to be librarians, some elf, some human. What exactly are you searching for within the archives? Not just regular folk aren't allowed in, but because Ruthus is there and they recognize Ruthus and they hear that he's kind of back in town and not a threat or not an enemy of the city, they let you through. Is there anything?
Does that allow Dylan as well?
Yes, you're going with him. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
What are you searching for?
I'm going to look for the history of the Sunstone and where it came from.
Okay. Dylan?
I'm going to look for information regarding a name. The name being Lycor Grey Rain.
Okay. We'll do Ruthus first. So roll me an investigation check, please.
I can help him initially
Investigation.
look if he wants to help me after he's.
Well, you've only got an hour.
Okay, that's
so
fine.
I'll say you probably need to do it separately.
That's fine.
I'm not proficient in it either.
Well, he can help you if he's
Okay.
proficient in it, but
Well, I got a 7.
a 7. Okay. So you spend a good time searching and asking people around for kind of the histories of the Sunstone, but no one seems to know much about it. Most of them kind of talk to you and say, well, you know, if anything, you must know the histories of it already, you know, being one of the Suncrest family. And a few of the archivists, you talk to kind of one of the kind of higher up archivists who says basically what you already know, that it was kind of essentially a war trophy from some escapades of the Empire long ago. But he also says that he had heard or read potentially somewhere that the Sunstone was taken prior to the Empire ruling. So it would have been the escapades of your forebears prior to it being an Empire-ruled town. But you can't find any books. They can't find any. And they're not sure where they would be.
Sweet.
Dylan, please make me an investigation check.
That will be a 18.
you ask around for the name. Actually, in fact, would you like to ask around people for the name, or would you just like to look yourself? I don't know how covert you want to be with the name.
Am I able to like look around first, and then failing that ask?
Sure. Okay, so I'll go with the first roll first then. So an 18.
Mm-hmm.
You scour through the various sections of the archive, and it's not as sort of extensive as maybe you originally thought. It is quite like a large library. The archives themselves are very dimly lit, and the archivists that kind of patrol them have a glowing globule kind of orb that follows them around, like Heath Elwyn had. Heath being, Ruthus says, one of the archivists originally, one of the leading archivists. You kind of walk around, chaperoned to an extent by some of the people they kind of follow you about. And you search and you search, but no names come up.
Okay, I will ask the archivists for some help.
Okay, roll me again then with advantage. They'll aid you.
Ooh. That will be a 26.
26. They search around and you also find sort of the head archivist, and he kind of shakes his head like he hadn't heard that name, but perhaps he has, and they filter through some of the old histories, and eventually they come across an old book, classically an old folklore book, a folklore book that is extremely well read. And Ruthus, probably you're with him, I imagine, seeing as you couldn't find much on the Sunstone. You know this book. You know this book well.
I know this book.
It's
I know this book well.
It's simply called Folk and the Fae, and you can even see within it some little scribbly notes, some turned pages of where Ruthus, as maybe a younger man, had delved through this tome many a time, reading of the Fae and all it had to offer. It's stories of the Fae and stories of the court. The talks of the summer court and the unseelie court, the winter court. It talks of the elves that sort of live there and how they represent the seasons. It has all these fantastical tales of people going and coming back with strange memories of the place. It's kind of like a kid's sort of book, but maybe with a bit more truth to it. But there is a figure that pops up in one of the stories called Lycor. They appear as a villain in one of the tales, a giant behemoth of a werewolf, dark, black, almost like pitch black fur, with a kind of white streak running through it. Essentially, almost the exact same visual description of Frank. It's the same kind of visuals of what he looks like when he transformed, and sort of Jin as well, and then you to an extent, although they kind of seemingly take on slightly different forms. And it talks of him, this villain within the Fae, within a forest called the Amberwood Glade. That's what it talks of. The story is fairly short. It's a man who's tricked by a fairy to enter the Amberwood Glade, and there he meets with Lycor, and Lycor tells him some riddles that don't really make sense, and he manages to leave with his life just barely intact, but unfortunately he was bitten by by Lycor, and thus returns to the material realm.
What's the name of
with the curse.
this? What was the name of this character who went to the glade?
Typhel.
Typhel.
Ruthus looks at this book, kind of reading over your shoulder this story. Sort of cracks a smile, like, funny seeing this book again. It's brings back memories of a younger man. But Dylan, why the sudden interest in fables of the Fae? Have you heard of this Lycor before?
I have no interest in the Fae per se. However, did I mention that that in her letter, oh fuck, what's her name? I can't remember.
Panima.
In Panima's letter, she mentioned a Lycor, that it might illuminate some truths regarding the curse that runs through my veins.
Wait, letter from Panima? When did you receive a letter from her?
Perhaps I was a little cautious with revealing the information. Tashi, remind me, how did I receive the letter? Because I've received a couple recently.
Bellum Kanda gave it to you when you returned to the tree.
Yeah,
Kind
of course. Yeah. Bellum Kanda gave me a letter, passed on from Panima.
Oh, and she's well? We had not heard of her since we last left, no?
I tried to make contact, but unfortunately, I heard nothing back. It seems that she is safe and well. She is with her tribesfolk, the other Furbolgs.
That is good to hear.
It's true, it warms my heart that she is safe. I worried for a while, and we were so caught up in the goings-on in the Varamark and the threats that it posed to Ingmiri and further afield, that I forgot to pursue it further.
So
But
she
alas,
mentioned this Lycor as someone that would know more about the curse.
She said that Father Aureus had mentioned him, and that it might somehow help. But the fact that he comes across as some kind of mythical creature in this book, it doesn't seem to help. However, it mentioned, what is this character here? Tafel. I don't suppose this is someone that you've heard of before?
I don't know, have I?
So Typhel is a fictional character that is in quite a few of the stories. A young bard that travels to the Fae. He also crops up in a bunch of other stories. There's no author, they're just kind of folklore, but written down in various books. Like a bard, a human, takes on kind of the antagonist role in a lot of folktale stories. But fictional, definitely known as fictional, quite a famous fictional character.
Typhel is a fictional character, but you speak of Lycor as if they're real. How can you be so sure?
Real. Here, let me see if I can find this letter. I had it upon my person. Bear with me 1 second. I do have it. I will read it. I will read it to you.
This is because it's a reference from a Fae story. Ruthus's interest is piqued so hard right now.
Do you want me to forward it? Tashi, did you send it to Josh?
No.
I can forward it to him now.
Yeah,
You sent it to me. I've got it. Yeah. I'll show Josh the letter.
Okay.
I'll show Ruthus the letter, but I'll send Josh, the person, the message.
Dutch, are you just going to read during this time?
Yeah.
Mark off another 2 hours then in that case.
How long do I need to read for?
It's
48.
48 hours within a... No, it's
6 day
within a
period.
48 hour... No, within a 6 day, yeah. It's 48
Yeah.
hours altogether.
Gentle orc and a scholar.
Okay, cool.
The time is nearly nigh, Ruthus, and you know you must be headed to the courtyard very soon.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. I'll read through that letter and stuff, and then I'll say to Dylan, Dylan, we're going to be late for our summons for the grand event, if you will. We should make haste.
Yes, of course. We shouldn't be late for that. Listen, Ruthus, I know I said it before, but I truly count myself lucky to be in your company. I've never considered myself a leader or charismatic individual, but it's truly an honor to work beside someone who is able to know wrong from right, and at the same time is able to communicate it thusly. Please know that my bow and my blade will forever be in service to the things that you deem as honorable and good. I'm beside you this day, no matter which way it falls.
Ruthus looks into Dylan's eyes for a moment, and then he grasps your hand in a warm embrace. Nay, it is I who am honored to have you as my companions. As his eyes brim with tears. Let us be gone from this place to the square.
I'd like to swing past the steps as well, and with the end of my staff, as I'm floating in front of Dutch, just poke it into his nose and peel his face up from the book.
Hey!
Never
How
took
you
you for a
doing?
bookworm.
It's pretty good, you know.
Have you been reading this whole time?
Yeah.
So it's super meditative. It's all about the natural order of things and the everyday wisdom you can take from the subtleties and the nuance of the world around you. It's
Watching a fly struggle in the web of a spider, effort of futility. Yeah.
it's just all that. It's essentially the teachings of the Dalai Lama, but in a book. It's all just this very kind of beautiful, poetic, wise stuff, and you feel yourself becoming wiser due to it. Slowly, it's getting there. You head to the square, and you can see crowds of people are beginning to gather. Various carriages are being drawn up, and stands have been kind of erected for the nobles to sit on. You see
Spooky
a
music.
stage has been sort of set here. It's tense. It's a tense moment. Stage has been set, kind of looking out across the courtyard. The kind of grand loom framing the stage behind. You see there is plenty of guard presence, both palace guard and watch, all about various corners, keeping an eye out as sort of Celeste draws close in her carriage, guarded by an entire regiment, basically, of palace guard. Christoph. Yep.
What's the feeling amongst the crowd?
The crowd is still kind of gathering at this point, but there's a nervous excitement. Lots of the nobles sitting on the steps are kind of eagerly awaiting another sight of Celeste.
Can I have a very, very careful scan of the crowd as they come in, of the rooftops, of the alleyways? I want to see if any potential troublemakers, any hidden daggers, glint of steel flashes up to my perceptive druid eyes.
I'll say as people begin kind of gathering in, and Christoph gets out of the carriage, taking Celeste out. They're pretty much like covered by a bunch of different guards. Where are you all going to situate yourself? Are you going to go on the stage with Ruthus, or are you going to? You feel like you're unlikely. For example, Richter, you're probably unlikely to talk or to be allowed to talk. But there would be nothing stopping you, going up with Ruthus. But you might want to be somewhere else, maybe in the crowd or a vantage point. It's totally up to you guys.
I would like to.
Richter,
Sorry, yeah. Go ahead. You go ahead, Theo.
Okay, I'll be fairly quick. I'd like to find a vantage point at height, if that's possible.
Okay. Pick one of the buildings. Probably not the loom itself because it's so vast and
What's
giant.
highest? And what would give me the best view whilst remaining unseen?
Probably the building here by the tavern.
Okay.
This building here looks to be it's like quite a tall, thin building. It looks to be some kind of potentially like a small courthouse, or some kind of like merchant guild. It kind of opens up onto the square of where the kind of market would be, and it's fairly tall. It's got good alley access from the other sides, and you've got like a good view across the whole thing.
Am I able to get to the top of it?
Make me a acrobatics check.
Acrobatics.
Kind of hopping and diving and jumping.
That will be a 22.
22. It takes a bit of time, and you're kind of having to do it while crowds are approaching. But it's an easy game for someone who is so stealthy and grew up in these kind of town environments. You make your way to the rooftop there. I imagine letting the others know that's where you're going to be.
Yeah, I'd like to recast Animal Familiar as well, and I'd like for Ook to be flying around.
Doesn't it take an hour if he died?
No, it doesn't. I can recast it. It will cost me 10 gold.
You don't have to redo the ritual.
Let me just see. It will cost me an hour. Yeah, I won't be able to do it. That's fine. Sorry, I thought I could recast it. That's fine.
You're not going to see much from up there then. In that case.
Yeah, of course. I can... sorry, I've thrown a... I wouldn't have had time to do that, would I, with everything that I've done?
No.
I'll tell you what, I will use, instead of that, so complete massive retcon,
Yeah.
I will use Disguise Self, and I will sort of be in the crowd, like, but as a common person, like in wearing sort of like something very inconspicuous,
Okay.
so I'm within 50 feet of the stage, so I'm sort of like in that sort of realm of things, so I'm able to keep a bead on what's going on.
You've got your hearing within that range. Okay, cool.
Richter pretty much wants to do the same thing. Wants to sort of hang out in the crowd. He's going to slip into an alley and just come back as a completely unknown face here. So he just comes back as Aaron, with both arms.
Always.
With both arms, comes back as Aaron.
He's got both.
He sort of. I like to. I mean, I like to think maybe he saw Draug doing that, maybe, because I'd quite like to sort of make eyes and be like, nods across the crowd.
We could have definitely.
We could
have convened.
You coordinated and you know what each other looks like and where each other are.
Yeah, so we're gonna do little and I want to do like little circuits in a certain area, just ears open, ready to quell or inspire unrest as needed.
Music is playing for me at least.
Oh, okay.
Not for me.
Oh, mine just stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It was-
can't hear it.
Now it's back. It's back now.
Oh, yeah,
Ah, we're
Just
back.
turned it up. It's a bit quiet.
Okay, no worries.
Also, can I do something quick?
Yeah.
Sensing Zook's unease when he said what he did just now, I'll give him a nudge and say, Zook, I've got something for you. Quick, follow me, and we'll duck around a corner somewhere.
Okay.
Something that you could use. Some knowledge that was bestowed on me by the king. Quick, give me something you're wearing, or a necklace or something, anything.
I take off. I take off a little bone bracelet I've got that's like twine and small like bits of antler and like fox bone.
Perfect.
All tied up.
Ruthus takes it quickly, puts it down, and almost suddenly the ethereal giant smith's tools appear in his hands, and with a single strike and a single spark, Ruthus is going to inscribe a storm rune onto these things you've just given me in the shape of like a jaggedy lightning bolt. Here you go. I'm not sure if it'll be of use, but we'll see. So Meta, this, while wearing, you have advantage on intelligence arcana checks.
Oh.
Plus, you cannot be surprised as long as you aren't incapacitated.
Nice.
Excellent.
Oh,
Very nice.
I wanted to follow them into where they were going. I wanted to be with Zook.
Okay.
I do want to cast Bless on all three of us.
I think it only lasts a minute.
It's off, we're ready.
So it lasts a minute or 10 minutes, Bless? Let me check.
Where's my phone?
I can check. I
Job
think
less.
it might just be a minute. Let's have a look. It lasts a minute, yeah.
Oh, okay, I won't do it now. I'll
Okay.
say that I'll do it.
Plus, Rupert, if you can use a bonus action to enter a prophetic state, and for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated, when you or another creature you can see within 60 feet make an attack roll, a saving throw, or an ability check, you can use your reaction to cause the roll to have advantage or disadvantage.
What?
What?
It's very cool.
That's amazing.
Amazing. For a minute.
For a minute, you can do that. And it's once you've invoked it, and you can't do it again until you finish a short or long rest.
Nice. That is amazing.
Damn.
Thank you.
I'll post it in the chat, the writing.
Yeah.
Tense music.
Very, very tense music.
It's, okay, so then Ruthus, you're going on the stage, obviously. Richter, you're staying in the crowd.
I will follow Ruthus to the stage.
So you're going to be on the stage too.
Yeah.
Okay. And Dutch?
I'm going to take my rings off because obviously I want to be less conspicuous. So I'll take my rings off, put them inside, then pull my collar up as high as possible to try and cover my face from the side, which obviously makes him look more conspicuous, but I'd still like to roll a stealth check. So trying to just hang around like within view of Zook, basically. I want to be able to look at
Side
Zook and
stage.
yeah.
Okay, so like not on the stage, but off to the side.
Maybe like 10 foot away from Zook in the crowd, like all the front row of the crowd or something.
Okay, so you'll probably be close to the front of the crowd. Your brother's probably a bit behind you, maybe 10, 10 30 feet behind you. Okay, cool. Roll me that perception check then, Zook, as people start filtering in.
It rolled as a 9. It becomes 24.
You scour the crowd as they begin to come in, and you see lots of kind of beggars, lots of the poor from the storehouses, You see noble carriages arriving, plenty of guard presence. You notice a few within the crowd that look to be, you maybe would deem a little bit more suspicious. A couple that look like their hoods are up. They're not necessarily wanting to be seen. You see, as the crowd begins kind of like becoming more dense and filtering, you see one figure kind of moving through the crowd with some kind of basket, passing things to people, moving through the crowd, hood up.
Okay.
A whistle goes from the grand loom, and which usually signifies the changing of the shifts.
Can I, before we go on, but
Yeah.
having seen that, could I just quickly nip down to Dutch?
You'd have to walk off the stage through the guards that are blocking it and into the crowd, which might
Can you
take a
send
bit.
at all, or have you got sending, or?
No. Okay.
Catch his eye with some glinting rock.
Yeah, I'll try and find Dutch. I'll try and find Dutch in the crowd.
He's like near the front, so you can see.
Yeah, catch his eye, and then just gesture with my head, like in towards where I saw it.
Subtle. Gently.
Oh!
Roll me an insight check, Dutch.
You think he's just giving you finger pistols?
Okay, I have something that I'd like to do after this.
Okay.
Yeah, so 0.
Did you roll a 3 or a 2?
I rolled a fucking 3, boy.
Who is the most senior looking officer, or does there seem to be some kind of captain?
So Celeste and Christoph are kind of approaching on the stage, and you can see a large, imposing figure kind of issuing commands to the palace guard. They turn, and you recognise them to be Malvo Blackfriar, essentially the one in charge of the guard, well, the palace guard at least.
Before I approach Malvo, I'm going to turn to Ruthus, grab him by the arm, and whisper in his ear what I just saw.
Wait, what did you see?
I saw someone moving through the crowd with a basket, handing something out to different people. And I'm going to say, I think it could be weapons. This could be something bad. Do you think we should tell the guards?
It could well be. I'll mention it as well. Keep an eye on them.
Aye.
Don't forget, you can't be surprised.
I know. Nothing's getting past me.
As a member of the crowd, is there anything that Dylan can see as well?
Not really. No, you can sense all these people around you, but there's just so many people moving. It's hard to pick out anything weird going on in particular.
I'd like to be 30 foot away from the speakers on the stage, if that's okay.
Okay, you probably have to be fairly near the front then.
Fairly close. Yeah, I'll be fairly close.
Because
Yeah,
they're like above on a raised sort of stage.
yeah, that's fine.
The whistle blows and you hear it blow once more, and Celeste takes to the stage. You can see Salvir Quell stands by her side, and Malvo sort of stands vigil, instructing the guard to be in certain post, issuing orders, etc. She kind of looks towards you, Ruthus, and nods and steps forwards into the kind of the late afternoon light, and the crowd seems to simmer. Thank you all for coming. And you can see Salvir standing. You can see him kind of flicking his hand slightly, and her voice projects out across the stage. I have come to a decision. Today, and until tomorrow, the same time, the Grand Loom shall be closed. And there is like a kind of murmur through the crowd.
Oh, fucking hell.
As of this moment. And she kind of looks towards Malvo and he issues some orders. And you can see all the people from in the loom that are working that would switch shift all begin to leave. And are kind of guided by the guard to come and be able to participate and watch. And you know, from just being here, the loom has not shut. The loom continues through the night. And as small as this sounds, it probably has a huge impact on the kind of dealings and commerce that is to come. I have also decided that from now, as she sort of waits for the majority of the workers to be able to watch and participate as well, the industry, you have all been working so hard, and Saloon sees this. She watches down on all of you, as she does me, and she recognizes your sacrifice. She recognizes your passion for this empire. And so, through great prayer and guidance from her, I've decided that the time of night, the time when the moon shines down upon us, shall not be a time for work. It shall be a time for rest. Rest with your families. Rest for the day's work ahead. And there's sort of a mumbling through the crowd. You can hear a couple people being like, well, what are we going to do for work? You know, some people just work the night shift that are probably out now. Things will be put in order. Things will get better. I'll take the pregnant hostage. I just saw. Right. But that was not the main reason that I brought you all here today. There was to be a different speech. As you have all heard, Christoph's uncle Ruthus has returned. And I believe he wishes to address you. And Christoph steps forwards and says, "Thank you, wife, thank you. I have a few things to say as well." And Salvir kind of gives him this glare, and he's like, "I'll only be a few moments." And he begins talking, but Salvir doesn't use thaumaturgy on him, so his voice is like it doesn't carry as far. I am also thankful. I have decided too that we shall throw a great banquet for all in the city, a carnival of sorts. And there are a few cheers from the crowd, but most people seem to hate Christoph. You can see people kind of getting a bit angry and getting a bit riled up. He seems to want to carry on, but Celeste puts a hand sort of on his shoulder, and he turns to you and says, "Okay, go ahead, Uncle." And he sort of comes close before you take the stage, kind of close, and he says, "Don't fuck it up, Uncle."
Give him a pat on the shoulder as he walks past.
I'm going to clasp Ruthus on the shoulder and just say, "This is a bigger crowd than I think you've maybe even spoken to, but if anyone can convince these people to keep the city going, it's you. Good luck."
Bigger than Amiri, eh?
Seeing Rufus take the stage, Richter will begin to sort of cheer and say, "Hey, it's Rufus, the man with the apples! Hey, his people came and fed us all, didn't they? Didn't they? And I try and sort of rouse a bit.
You know what? There's a bit of a murmur through the crowd, and people are like, yeah. And you hear a few people being like, he's here. He's back. He's come to save us. Look, let's listen. And there's like a murmuring through the crowd.
And as I say these words, a ripple of sunlight bursts around Ruthus, and slowly unfurling behind his back is a small pair of eagle's wings made of brilliant golden sunlight. And I cast Enhance Ability, giving him eagle splendor and advantage on charisma checks.
Oh, sick!
Ooh, that is Eagle Ganza.
Oh, awesome. That's so cool.
My eyes glow yellow with sunlight.
Oh, cool. Okay, Ruthus, he walks onto the stage. He walks sort of right down into the front middle, and just as a meta thing, if the keen-eyed among you will have noticed that Ruthus is actually 9 inches taller than he normally is due to his giant's might, but that's a story for another time.
9 inches. Jeez.
Ruthus, he walks down center stage, and he just kind of stands there and kind of takes in the crowd for a moment until there's complete silence, and then he speaks. People of Soulreach, by the mighty sun that burns above us and the luscious valleys that make up our home, it is good to be back here amongst you.
Yay!
For those of you that don't know me or maybe don't recognize me, my name is Ruthus Suncrest, brother to Jon, uncle to Christoph. I used to be a human, now I'm a gnome, but that's a story for another time. I was summoned here to Soulreach on request of Celeste to negotiate a better path for Soulreach and to attempt to find a way to soothe things here in the province. I'm going to be honest with you all. And Ruthus pauses. I didn't believe it. I thought I was being summoned here to be ridiculed, to be imprisoned, or maybe worse. I thought Christoph and Celeste were seeking to dispose of me. Well, I truly feel fortunate to say that I was mistaken. We discussed, we spoke of events and of ideas, and I've discovered that Christoph and Celeste they are both true leaders. I've seen that they have a devotion to this city as much as I. They are believers in mercy, in justice, in compromise. They seek the betterment of their people, just as I would have done, just as Howard would have done, and just as Jon, my brother, would have done.
There's something flies from the crowd towards the stage. Zook, you notice it flying towards something red, just shooting towards Ruthus on the stage.
Okay, as I said in the chat, as soon as I saw any projectile coming towards the stage, throw up a control winds around the stage and just go updraft and try and push it up over the houses.
You throw your hand up as a couple of other things fly forwards, and you see a tomato flick up through the air, as well as a couple other vegetables kind of hit the air wall. A couple of people from the crowd begin kind of mumbling and groaning. He's just one of them. He's one of them nobles. And you hear it kind of mingling among the angry crowd. He's not here to help us.
I bring the gust down to a gentle breeze, but keeping the spell up.
Start
Ruthus,
moving in the direction of those shouts in the crowd.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Sure.
You begin pushing your way through towards that.
Ruthus raises his voice, addressing the crowd a little bit more sternly. Be calm! Calm yourselves, please. Please, I implore you, please listen. Listen with your ears. The worst thing that could happen would be for us to descend into turmoil once again. We cannot go there. We cannot allow anger to rise. Instead of casting a new shadow over this city, Celeste and Christoph have agreed to allow myself and my companions, the Gypsies of Fortune, to help. The great deeds that some of you have heard of will now be at your disposal. Truly, a new era for Soulreach is about to begin. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Roll me a performance check, please.
Performance. So I get advantage on this now because it's a charisma check. A 16. I'm going to add an inspiration dice to it.
No, that means you re-roll. Remember,
Does
we
it?
we changed it.
What do I get to re-roll? Just one dice or both?
You re-roll the whole thing. If it has advantage, you re-roll the whole thing. But you have to remember, you have to give me a reason why you should use the inspiration. Why is this? What's this moment important? Sorry.
Because I'm sensing the extreme boiling point that the crowd is potentially getting to, and I need my presence to calm them and seek reason.
Okay. Re-roll for me.
Oh, okay, that was way better. So that is a 24.
Oh.
The crowd kind of does begin to almost boil over, but it steadies. Richter, you push your way through the crowd and you bump into a man carrying a basket who kind of knocks it to the ground. You see all this fruit and vegetables tumble sort of to the ground. Hey, they're mine. And he kind of gets to the ground, kind of trying to put them in.
I lean down as if to help him pick things up, and I just sort of put quite an intense sort of grip on his shoulder and say with an intimidating low voice, "It's a big crowd, old man. No one would notice the flash of a blade. Behave yourself." 14, shit.
You feel something cold and sharp pressed into your lower back. And you hear a gruff voice say, "Let him go, friend. Let him go."
I let him go and turn to look at who has done my move on me.
You see a broad, stocky individual. Looks like a worker. Probably works the looms. He's holding a shiv in one hand. He has a hood kind of over. And you can see beneath the hood the faint glint of what looks to be chainmail. Were you with Dylan and Dutch? Because you were away for that session, but I can't remember if Richter was there.
Where
sure.
with what? Sorry, what was there?
Because when you were outside the loom and you saw an old man get beat and a dude stepped in,
He wasn't there for that. No.
he wasn't there. No, it doesn't matter. He kind of pulls the dagger back, looking, not recognizing you. And you watch as he moves off through the crowd once more, hood up, keeping low. You see a couple more within the crowd, hoods up.
I would like to send a message to Zook.
Okay, cast sending.
Zook. Soldiers in crowd, armored. Look now. There may be many. And I start to sort of like nod quite pointedly, sort of towards.
I mean, there's loads of people in the crowd.
I look like Aaron, and I'm pointing.
It's probably a good,
So
there's
I just
probably
straight
a
up.
few hundred people in this crowd. It's like an arena gig.
I don't think I've got enough. What did he look like again? Like hooded, bearded man. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Can I respond?
You can.
Mentally. Do I have to speak out loud? Or...
I don't think sending you have to speak out loud, no.
No, that was in my mind. I was saying it, yeah.
Okay, I say follow. Let Draug and Dutch know.
Okay. Looking about, can I still see Draug?
No, you've moved off away from that area.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna just follow. I don't know if I should use my other sending. Actually, I probably should, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I'll save you that moment. There is the galloping of hooves, and from down the street, probably in this direction here, coming around the corner, and you see. From the stage, no one else can see this, but Zook and Ruthus can see a figure on horseback ride around sort of where the carriages are. Their hair sort of flowing behind them. Ruthus, you immediately recognize this as Yasha Blackfriar. You can see maybe 5 or 6 mounted knights sort of behind her. She's wearing full plate, her helm up, and she sort of looks up towards the stage as people go quiet a bit.
I'm looking. What's Malvo doing?
Malvo looks towards her, and you can see she rides up, dismounting and striding over to him, and they are conversing.
How close are they to me?
Probably 60, 70 feet.
Okay.
They're on
Can
that far side of the
I
stage.
hear their conversation? Because I would hear the horse. I would hear the horse coming up
You
shortly.
can roll me a perception check.
Okay. That's a hearing-based perception check.
It's quite hard to hear them through.
22.
You, even standing within the crowd, your keen, honed senses, you pick up a few words from the conversation. You pick up, pick up, did I miss? And then you miss the next words. And
Okay.
you say, garrison is here. You hear that too.
Okay. I will immediately send a message relaying that to Ruthus.
You begin casting, pointing towards Ruthus on the stage. Ruthus, you hear maybe the first 10 words of Dylan's conversation before detonations shake the ground, and the crowd immediately goes quiet as you watch the grand loom above you topple, the various bricks and structures of it crashing and coming tumbling down towards the stage. Zook and Ruthus, you have an immediate reaction. Zook, I'm going to give you some bonuses on that, as essentially huge parts of masonry come balling down towards you, Celeste, Christoph, and Salvir, and Malvo, and Yasha, who are all there within the stage, as well as guards. What do you do in those few seconds you have?
It's a QTE.
I grab
you're standing maybe. So Zook, you're standing maybe within 5 feet of Ruthus and 10 feet of Christoph and Celeste. Salvi's a bit further. Malvo's on the other side of the stage with Yash.
Okay, I attempt to grab. So, first thing I do is look up, and can I explode into the great form of a hulking white greater gorilla, greater ape.
Hell yeah.
That's it. And I want to
Like
just
Rampage.
grab Ruthus and run and sprint and try and grab Celeste and dive off the stage.
They're basically standing next to each other. You don't think you're going to have time to run off the stage. There's no way.
Okay. So there's literally like...
You
I
maybe
can
have enough time to jump
cover
off
one
the
of-
stage if you just run and jump yourself.
Fuck. Okay.
Not a very Zook thing to do.
No. Yeah, I to be honest, I turn into a giant... Yeah, I turn into a giant gorilla and I cover Celeste, who is pregnant with an unborn child. And I just stand over her and
Ruthus,
wait
what
for
do
the
you
impact.
do? But you're standing next to Celeste and Christoph, who both just look up in like horror. The crowd, like, there's like almost slow motion as the crowd, people in the front of the crowd begin to tumble backwards. Dutch and Dylan, you are potentially in the way of falling masonry as well, but we'll get to you in a sec.
I basically do exactly the same thing. Ruthus uses a bonus action and becomes large.
Hey.
I've become a giant, large-sized gnome, which is a 10 foot by 10 foot creature.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I touch myself.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do. Chiseling into like my clothes, because it's just all you have to do is touch something and it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna chisel in a hill rune, which, in all intensive purposes, once I invoke it, it will give me resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage.
Okay.
And then I do exactly the same and just like try and cover Christoph and Celeste. I guess aided by Zook as well.
Okay. Okay. I think, yeah, in these few moments, you both sort of cover them, so you'll have to decide who's covering who, for the sake of roles.
I went to Celeste first.
Okay. So Ruthus, you're sort of mainly over Christoph, because maybe Zook's on the other side. So I'd like you both to make me strength saving throws, because you're not necessarily dodging it. For Dylan and Dutch in the crowd, what are you both going to do?
I'd like to immediately, seeing this rubble falling upon us, use my hybrid transformation.
Okay.
There's no one in particular I could save of importance,
It's just people around you.
Mm.
And Dutch, you're muted.
When I use the giant's might to become large, it also gives me advantage on strength checks.
Seeing the boulder coming down, I'd first like to rage. How big is the thing?
It's like the wall of the whole thing is crumbling down across this entire area.
I'd like to get out the guitar, and when it's about to land on me, I'd like to punch it with a thunderous smite.
Can I change that actually? Am I able to change that reaction?
Sure, yeah, it's all happening in slow motion. I'll let you decide what you want.
I would like to, in front of what's falling in front of us, I'd like to cast Wall of Water.
Okay.
In
Throw
as
up
much
with
of
water.
as much is covering as much surface area as possible.
Okay. In that case, so Brother Draug, roll me a dexterity saving throw to try and dodge. With disadvantage. I don't know if you get advantage because you're surrounded by people. It's very difficult to move, but you have thrown this water wall up, which may do something. Dutch, you're not dodging. You're just make an attack roll, please.
Thank you.
Richter, you moved back, so you're actually out of the range of this at the moment.
Nice.
So, Ruthus, what did you get for your strength check, please?
I haven't done it yet. I got a 21.
Zook, what did you get?
Here we go. Oh, natural one.
Fuck.
I remember the time that me and Ruthus sat in that pool, determined, nay, absolutely hell-bent on saving this town, and Celeste's death will not achieve that. Thus, I will use an inspiration dice to re-roll that.
Good.
I will allow that with grace and dignity.
Oh,
Awesome.
come on. It's a 12 plus 4. It's a 16.
Okay.
Better.
Better than a 1.
If it was a 1, you just land on the baby.
Brother Draug, what did you get?
A 16.
16. And Dutch, what did you get to punch?
Calling for the people to stand behind me. I try and invoke the strength of Luthic to help me protect these people. And as the wall comes down, I hit it with a 28.
What's
Like
Varian
punching
doing?
the rubble back.
Varian is probably smashed of his tits in some bar. Richter, all you do is watch. I don't know if you want to react in any way as you see this crumbling down in the crowd in front of you.
Richter sees this chaos happening, this like explosion of like masonry and infrastructure, and the sort of like ripple through the crowd as everything starts to sort of collapse. And he's momentarily thrown completely off. This is terrifying. It makes him think of the library's destruction, and so he closes his eyes to calm himself, and he pictures the ocean of blood. He pictures it where he first met the Rook, and he feels the halberd in his hands, and as he sees the churning maelstrom of crimson ocean water, he begins to synchronize the lapping of the waves with the beating of his heart. And he feels this almost pulsing in the halberd in his hand, and he doubles his health.
Amazing.
Nice.
Amazing. You feel
Opens
this
his eyes with
vitality wash through you as you watch on the stage both Ruthus erupt into a huge version of himself looming over Kristoff, Zook turning into a giant white bear, a white gorilla, and covering Celeste. You watch a wall of water shoot up from the front of the crowd, and a sort of sonic punch hit up towards rubble. It engulfs the stage. You see, it just comes down, crashing the stage as it gets slowly closer towards you as bits fall, and then just a wave of just dust just whoosh, blocks your entire vision. People screaming, running around you, but you are stationary there, resolute with your halberd out. You hear horses whinnying, people dash about, screaming. You see, as you kind of stagger forwards, a bleeding man dragging the body of an unconscious palace guard. You can see his legs are crushed. You hear the shouting of orders and marching distantly. You see a few masked figures dart past your right, hoods up, glinting blades. You see fire kind of looming through this fog and mist. The clash of steel on steel. You stumble over some rubble, but you see it's an ash and dust-covered corpse of a noble woman. And we'll end the session there.
Oh,
Fuck.
so good. That's some high
Oh.
sparrow blowing up shit.
Ah.
Oh.
This
Oh
is good.
no.
This is real good.
Thanks
This
for
is-
watching, peeps.
Oh.
Join us next time for potentially the final conclusion of the Soul Reach arc.
Showdown in Little
Jesus.
Soul
What
Reach.
will happen next
Forget
time?
it, Jake. It's Soul Reach.
Holy balls.
Thanks
I
for
realised my decision was not the most tactical. I
watching.
should
Good
have.
luck, Gypsies of Fortune. Good luck indeed.
Good luck. Good.
Hells bells.
Good eve.